Namaste, Adab, Sat Sri Akal. It's Dr. Anand here. On a very sad morning, we are very sad in the studio because of what's happening all over the world. Killings, more killings. I thought I'd start with Happy New Year. Well, what's so happy? We finished last year with Sydney. Then we had 140 people and more killed in Palestine. And we'll talk a little bit about that because we had a candle vigil for that. How many candle vigils are we going to have? And essentially what I'm saying is, in the name of religion, people are killing people. And as a side effect, they're giving a very bad name to their own religion that they profess to carry. So though they say this is for the sake of the religion, they are very much destroying the very religion and making it very difficult for other people who happen to be of the same faith, are living peacefully and are very close friends of mine. So today I've got in the studio Steve, Angus. Shall we light a candle for what's happened? A very good afternoon to all of you.
Yeah. Morning, everybody. And like we say, we hope to say a Happy New Year, but it hasn't got off to a great start.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I do think that we should feel it. I mean, we should feel the pain of what's going on. It is amazing that we go, what can we do about such things apart from feel sorrow and outrage and anger? Or are we just going to say, oh, it's too bad? I mean,
I think on top of that, there's fear. Everybody is saying, well, is it going to come here next? You hear all about this, everything on high alert, and you don't know what that means. So you start to live in fear and mistrust of others.
Yes.
Which is it's a minority case, but it stands out.
That's right. Well, the press is there for that purpose, isn't it?
Yeah.
Somebody does something odd, somebody does something heroic, somebody does something peculiar. So only the odd bits stick out. The normal is boring for the press.
Yeah.
Just normal is boring. So they're looking always for things to do, and don't we give them enough of it? So, what happened in Sydney, I don't think much connection. I just remember that Chinese girl running for her life. When some one person, then you tune in and it hits you. I was also watching with massive sorrow what happened in Peshawar, for that school. And I'm sure it's planned, and I'm sure there are insiders involved. Otherwise, it couldn't have happened. My sister used to teach in Air Force school, and because I have a red passport, a British one, though it took me 4 days to get in to her school, which is inside the army military place. So because though I look Indian and though I've got a birth certificate, this and that, they said, no. You got a British passport, you have to get it checked. And then I was doing a talk on stress, that heart rate variability thing. And at the door, they said, you can't bring your laptop in. It's got batteries, it can blow up, it can do this, it can do that.
Most of them do.
So I took a USB stick, and then the fellows relented. He said, oh, just bring it in. By the time they saw what a nice guy I was, it happened. So about this, did you see in the papers, Angus, you were saying something, you saw something in the papers?
Yes. Over the Christmas break, I read the local newspaper, The Journal, and I opened it, flicking it through there. So, whoa, I know that man. That's the doc. And there was a big picture and a big article all about the candlelit vigil that you held here at the Beacon.
Yeah. I mean, what else can we do? So we thought, a chap called Shahid Rafi said to me one Friday, so let's do something. So I said, well, all we can do is a candlelight vigil, and that's it.
We can do. I mean, these killers, in my view, do not represent the religions that they purport to.
They do not represent the human species.
It's a convenient excuse for their evil act.
Yes.
It's the same as football hooligans who say...
Yes, exactly. What a wonderful comparison.
Nothing to do with the team.
Yeah.
And I would say to those... if I was to say to them, I would say this. I would say, whichever God you represent, be it the Holy God, Allah, Muhammad, whoever it might be, do you think that God would be pleased with you walking into a school of unarmed children and gunning them down? That is not. That is not. It makes me very sad.
Well, they think it does. This is the problem. And I think they think they've been told to do that.
But the problem, whatever, I mean, I'm not knowledgeable enough or partisan enough to say this is wrong, is funded by Saudis or Jewish people or this or that. There's all that going on. But the end product is wrong. Simply end of story. There's no ifs and buts. I mean, if I start looking at psychopaths, do you know about 1 in 4 human males have a psychopathic gene in them, passed on only by their mother? But how many psychopaths are there? Because what I'm implying is, and there's a TED talk on this, TED talks, which you are
yeah,
very,
yeah.
very interested in, that basically it says that the tendency is there in all of us. I'm a potential murderer, pedophile, rapist, everything is in me. But I've not grown in an atmosphere where those parts are enhanced.
Yeah.
Never mind these kind of tendencies. Genes switch are on and off. Because of my health interests, I've switched off all my genes of illness. My mother is on about 10, 12 tablets. My father wasn't that bad, but both had blood pressure. My mother has sugar a little bit. My grandfather on both sides have sugar. My one grandmother has sugar, but then that grandmother was fat and so on. So I have a pretty high history of these things. But I keep my weight low. I keep happy. I sleep well. And I don't want diabetes. My sugar did go up enough for the GP to do a repeat test. And that was enough to frighten the bejeebies out of me. I don't want to be anywhere near doctors. I've got one myself. It's like a policeman being a thief. He has more understanding, greater responsibility. So I think if you stay happy, okay, this event has upset me, but I'm not going to moan about it all day. I've got nice things to do, like chat with you two guys. So let's change the mood then.
Right. Okay. That's the point, isn't it, Doc?
Go on, yeah, carry on. I'm not stopping anyone. Carry on.
People who are depressed or down, ill, they always tend to focus on the bad.
Yes.
And I always say to when my father's feeling down and telling me that he's useless because he can't walk anymore, I'll say, come on, Dad, you're 82. You've only just started to have difficulty walking.
Yes.
I said, I know someone
who
hasn't walked for most of his life, and he's still happy. He looks for the positive. Yeah. And he does things, just does them in a different way.
But life is what you make it. The guy next to us, he's the most famous wheelchair person in the world.
Wheelchair Steve.
Yeah, Wheelchair Steve. So why are we looking elsewhere? Just in the studio. And you deal with the cards, you play the cards you're dealt with.
The cards you're dealt
with. Exactly.
That's in the crop up every time. I'm celebrating the anniversary of the heart attack I had last year. I've got through it.
What date was it?
It's 5th of January last year. So
okay, happy birthday to you. We got one candle burning for you.
But it was strange when you think back to that was it over, and then but I'm indebted to the I was in Australia at the time, and the doctors, fortunately I was in hospital when I had the attack, so they were there in seconds, and it gave me CPR and all sorts of stuff.
Well, I got a friend who went, I think, 10 years ago. I've forgotten the whole exact story. And his wife took him to the casualty because he was complaining bitterly of dyspepsia.
Mm-hmm.
And she left the room and she heard a croaky sound or something. She went, this is in the casualty itself. Mm-hmm. The guy was dead for 12 minutes. He had a heart attack in the casualty. Mm-hmm. Now, if that man doesn't believe in God, who does? Mm-hmm. If he had it in the car park, he would have died. Or worse than died, he would have been mentally gone because his brain would be damaged. Yes. Death is fine. Yeah. But that kind of life in a wheelchair, and you ruin your family's life, your children, from someone who hasn't had it from birth. How was it for you? We'll ask that later. What I want to say is, in the background, I'll play some faith prayers. No, this is the wrong one. No, it's the wrong CD. I expected to be playing. This is the sad Palestinian music. Oh, this is too sad. I don't want it. I'll find something happier and noisier. Because we have to live. We don't need to survive. I don't ever want to survive on the planet. Yes. I've had a 5-bedroom house, massive thing, this many millions, bankrupted, gone. I had big, beautiful chandelier type lamps, gone. It's now 10-point IKEA LED ones. But what's the bloody difference? Still gives out light. Yes. Whether it's my watch, which is only, I don't wear a watch anyway, thank God for that. I've got an iPhone instead. I try to make technology all in one place instead of a watch for this, a pen for that. It's all in one piece. So if I had a watch, it would be a garage £1.50, £2 watch. What's the point of this 7,000? So people work so hard or cheat or lie or use their brains at least. So you're either cheating, or you're lying, or you're hypocritical, or you're selling things nobody wants, but you're making money. You can make money honestly as well. I haven't found it yet,
Yes.
Probably, big money. I'm not talking about living like you and me. I'm talking about real big money. On that score, can I apologize to people who live in Dar es Salaam, to each one of them? I went to a shop. I can't even say which shop, otherwise people guess who it is. And the husband says, my wife wishes to talk to you. I said, always welcome. She comes in with a cup of tea and says, what have you got against people with long drives in Dar es Salaam? So I said, why are you asking this question? She says, I thought you were talking about me. And in Hindi, there's a phrase, chor ke daadhi mein tinka. You know, if you say, one of you had a long beard, right? God forbid, but one of you had a long beard. And I said, now, who's pinched the stuff? The fellow with the beard will start itching in his beard, as if there's a little twig tickling his beard. So Hindi's phrase is, chor ke daadhi mein tinka. In the beard of the thief is a little twig. So I said, you don't even have a beard, you're a woman. And she started laughing. So I profusely and officially apologize to all the people in Darras Hall with long drives. Can you make your drives a bit shorter, please? It's just a phrase, man. It's just a phrase. When we say Delhi...
You measure your success by the length of your drive, is that how
some people do.
My car overhangs...
Casanova did it differently.
So I'm not very well off, because my car overhangs the drive. On the pathway.
So either your car is very big or the drive is very small.
Well, bit both.
Well, didn't I mount my car on your pavement on the side, didn't I, when I came to see you?
Yes, you did, yes. On the grass,
on the grass,
at the side, yes.
So basically, it's a caricature, man. When I say Delhi belly, I mean, it means diarrhea. You could have Calcutta belly, which is a dirtier place than Delhi. You could have
Westgate
Mumbai
Road
belly. Westgate
Road.
Road belly, which doesn't... Phenom belly.
Phenom belly.
Okay. No,
Biker belly.
Biker belly. Biker belly fits
Biker belly's
nicer.
good, isn't it?
But biker belly means a big fat fellow with a beer belly. You know, it's different. It's
So
belly.
now you're categorising biker people as fat.
Oh, the Raby
You
pub.
upset the people in biker now.
Well, the people...
There's a lot of listeners in biker, from what I gather.
But see, that's the point, Steve. We are allowed to be offensive. That's what the French were defending yesterday when they had their...
No, but why are people so sensitive? I'm not talking about religion now. It's the topic has changed. So anyone thinking I'll say something against religion and waiting to get me, please forget it. If you were sensitive about your wheelchair...
Yeah. Well, this is one of the things we've talked about in the past, is about establishing rapport. And you can establish rapport amongst the community that you know, we're all Geordies. Well, we've got passion for in and I'm, you know, you're not a Geordie doc, but you are a Geordie. You're a doc.
Yeah, I'm a Bruin Geordie man. Very Bruin.
But you fit into the community. You understand the humour of the community.
I enjoy the community.
Yes.
I am as
I
much
think we get to that point, and then because you've got rapport with the rest of the community, we can all speak together and say things that you maybe wouldn't be able to say to somebody coming from the Midlands or London or wherever, you know, different places. Maybe you can, I don't know. I mean,
I was walking on West Avenue and there was this mother asking the child to get up and he or she wouldn't. Lovely lemon green spacesuit the guy had. It happened to be a guy. And I said, is he giving you trouble? She says, yes, he won't get up. Now, what have I got to do with that woman and her 2-year-old baby? So I said, come on, Timothy. I found the name. You want to sit in my car? He says. And suddenly there's a rapport. And he just got up. His mother had been trying to ask him to stand. He wouldn't, you know, like a mule. I won't. But because I was perhaps...
So you're Jesus. You made the guy walk.
Jesus.
Get out of that wheelchair and walk.
Don't offend my Christian sentiments.
Right,
I'm a deeply Christian...
We've gone back to religion again.
Well, you know, the policemen, when they stop me, I use this, I'm suggesting this technique to everyone, you know. When they stop you and they say, and what's your Christian name? I said, I'm not a Christian and I'm deeply offended. Like hell, I'm offended, you know. I don't care what you think of me. But when I say that, the policemen get very worried in case they've made a faux pas.
Yeah.
You know,
constantly. It's first name.
Well, people get paranoid with that sort of thing nowadays, don't they?
But it is to do, well, you know, if someone from abroad like me learns the technique and realizes the underbelly of the Brits is not being racist, then anything you bring to the table on the guise of racism, on the excuse of racism, and they're scared, you got them. So, you know, people, I enjoy being teased and enjoy teasing, not in an offensive.
Disability, I think you can, you know,
you can take it too seriously.
Play the disabled card at any time and say, well, you know, I don't give a toss whether people call me whatever they call me. You know? But
so when you're not defended, you can't be offended.
No, that's right.
You know, if you're always worried about the thin skin, the ego skin that you carry, I mean, you can say anything, it doesn't bother me. It just doesn't bother me.
But it's down to when it doesn't, whether it's race or colour or
gender,
or gender,
sexuality.
You make assumptions straight away. About saying, oh, if I say this, I'm going to upset that person.
No, but if you say it with that intention, you will upset that person.
Because you're thinking that way.
Yes. I think you attract illness, you know. I really believe you attract illness by talking illness, walking illness, thinking illness, sharing illness. I mean, I said on another show, we were doing something about something else. And I said, you know, if you want health, do not go into a hospital. I mean, there should be a health warning on every hospital. Come in if you're ill, otherwise we'll make you ill. That's what we're here for.
That's why I don't like going to hospital.
No, I don't. Why should we? I mean, why should we?
Full of ill people.
Well, it's for,
get,
no, it's for really ill people.
You're likely to get infections, MRSA or whatever, various things.
True, and C. difficile and C. this and C.
The first thing you check when you go in is whether you're taking some illness in that somebody's going to get. That's when you get your swabs done of your throat and your pancreas or whatever it's called. Well, not the pancreas. What's the bit between your...
Did you have bum?
You've got to tickle it with a little stick to see whether you've got...
That's for women, man.
Stop taking.
Anyway, like Big Brother, I think it's a bit much. I don't understand that over intimate sexuality and all that. I can't stand it. But I'd love to be admitted to a psychiatric ward for 2 weeks and see if I go nuts or not. Because you would,
I think you would.
If you're sitting with them all the time, listening to that claptrap, you start believing the claptrap. I don't know how psychiatrists don't go nuts.
Well, I think you cannot stand out and be yourself if you're amongst people who, and I guess the same applies, and just, if you, with a foreign language, forget about that. If I was in I've listened to show something when you've been speaking in, I don't know what you're speaking, because
मैं हिंदी में बोलता हूँ तो आपको समझ में नहीं आती है. मैं जान करके हिंदी में बोल रहा हूँ, आपको समझ में नहीं आया. No, it's Hindi. That's all.
It depends who's on, I guess. But if it's Hindi and I listen to the show, and I think I haven't got a bloody clue what he's saying. And this is a guy that I can normally communicate.
Well, talking to Geordies when I joined it, I didn't have a clue what they were saying. Like,
put this odd word of English. They haven't got their own words for some of the stuff.
No.
I think that's
no. So the words are more powerful. If in English you call me a bastard, it doesn't hurt me that much. Right. But if you call me harami, because that is a word with deeper you know what I'm saying? A foreign language still remains a little foreign, but when you really want to hurt, speak the native tongue and say something abusive. That really sears through you, cuts through you. So I totally take on what Deepak Chopra says. He says the least defended man is the most powerful. Means if I have nothing to hide, what can you do to me? You can blackmail me if I had a wife and I was having an affair. But if my wife doesn't care and I doesn't care, then you can't do anything to me. I mean, you couldn't get to Bill Clinton by saying, I'll tell 10 on your wife after this stuff came out. You could have before it happened. That girl, Lewinsky, because she had something to hide and she'd kept all the clothes with all the DNA remnants and so on. I mean, this is a family show. So before it came out in the papers, she could, but now she can only sell a book. I believe she's written a book. So, all this kiss and tell business. If the other person is not frightened of it, then you can't be kidnapped. I mean, suppose you had a very horrible kid as a son and somebody kidnapped him and they asked for money. They said, don't keep him.
I'll pay you the money just to keep him.
Just to keep, yes. I'll give you all the child money.
Even more if you keep him rather than wanting $1 million.
That's right. So sometimes the opposite solution is so powerful that you can't do anything.
Yeah.
Last night I was at the Speakers Club and they were quite miffed that you had stolen one of the new girls who's gone and joined your club rather. Yes, she has joined. You should know. Because she rang and apparently told the president, thank you very much. We have now joined Toastmasters. But thank you for the evening. So they were absolutely in love with you yesterday at the Speakers Club.
I don't know who that was.
A female.
Well, it was a female.
The pretty one. I'm only joking.
They're all pretty.
all are pretty.
We're all pretty at
okay.
A1.
So what we did was I was the general evaluator. And I put my iPhone 6 right at the back of the room. And I just filmed it and I just gave it as it is. I've said things like, you're such a wonderful speaker. What happened to you today? You were dull. And nobody talks like that, because it's all very gentle. Yeah. The first fellow was so good. He is about, say, 60. Tall, big guy. You think he's quite a gentleman. And yet he spoke about, he said, after I've had my divorce and my illness and my financial loss, I've become a free spirit. And Englishmen don't talk that language, He said, I've finished with all the bunkum of religion. So he didn't talk religion, but he debunked it completely. And the fellow who was assessing him said, it was a nice speech. I don't agree with everything he said. And as a general evaluator, I said, you don't have to agree or disagree.
It's not
The
the point.
topic is not important.
Evaluator is
And
assessing the speech, not the point is.
And I said, I as a Hindu totally agree with him, because he's talking about the human soul and transmigration. That is what the Hindus believe. So in a joke, you can say so many things. Humor is very powerful. Don't you agree?
Yes.
What is the role of humor?
Happiness, because I think if it makes you feel good, if you can put a smile on your face, which often humour does, even if you don't laugh out loud,
it tickles you inside.
It tickles. You get a smile on your face. You might even have an internal smile. It doesn't always show externally, but anything that makes you happy gives you a better feeling. Because if you're feeling down and you're all miserable, and it puts negative vibes out, I think.
Yes.
You can almost feel it.
It's natural, isn't it? I mean, it's natural emotions. You've got happiness, laughter, anger, pain, distress. They're all natural, and different things trigger them. And so and it doesn't matter where you come from, what part of the country, what your background, what your culture is. If you see somebody slip on a banana skin, you will laugh. Right? You will laugh at
See,
that.
you're smiling even now.
Yeah. And that, I think, Doc, you probably know this more than I do. I think laughter triggers endorphins, which are
That's right.
the natural feel-good factor
Yes.
in the body.
Yes. So you can think positive or peaceful. I more believe in peaceful than positive. Yeah. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be happy is a bit of a rah-rah thing and very American. But if you're at peace with yourself and then with others, the most important person you need to get to know is yourself.
Well, I think it's whatever it is that makes you happy. Sometimes it's comedy and a laugh, or you might want to, watch a television program or read a book or whatever it is. That is the thing that helps you relax, helps you feel good, and whatever that is.
So, what makes you laugh? Is it Laurel and Hardy or Paul Merton?
Absolutely, Laurel and Hardy.
Well,
just raucous laughter, just silly, stupid laughter.
Yeah, I love Laurel and Hardy.
Yes,
I think
you don't have to understand anything. You just have to laugh.
It's a bit like the religion thing. How different things make different people laugh.
Yes.
Over Christmas, what some of the best programs on.
What Christmas makes you laugh?
No, well, some of the best programs on were repeats of Morecambe and Wise going back.
Yeah.
They were things that we used to. And I was coming through at that age. I was a young lad in the 70s, and you used to look forward to Christmas evening when
you could settle down.
You watched an hour and a half of Morecambe and Wise, and there was something.
So, what does Christmas mean to you? You're not a great church goer. You're not a heavily Christian guy.
It doesn't mean what it did.
No, but what does it mean today?
What does it mean? It means spending money on things that you.
But do you get any joy out of it?
I don't know. I don't think I do it like I did, and I don't know whether it's age that's changed it or whether just the way things are. You used to look forward to opening your. We used to be rich because we had a pillowcase, we're not a stocking. But
so, what do you say? Christmas starts in end of September or something for some people.
There are people buying Christmas cards for next year now.
Oh man, what a pitiable life, man! I bought 10 cards. I gave 2. I wrote one for Bessie. I haven't even given it to her. I've given 2 to one to my neighbor. Oh, and there's a little girl born in my neighborhood. She's about 4-5 months, and she's called India. So I sent them a card saying to little India and her family from big India. Well, I'm bigger than her at least. I'm not that big, but so it is an excuse for exchanging, isn't it?
It's Christmas cards. I have strong opinions on Christmas cards.
Go on, then.
That we shouldn't send them to people. I know Angus gave me one, and I'm very grateful to do.
Why is it a waste of
people regularly? You can say your wishes rather than going and paying money to somebody to write words that aren't real. Now, what I in Christmas cards, and I don't read them at the time. I usually read them after the event. Like the other day when we take them all down, it's like my wife puts them on the wall, and the doors and things, and you can't really see them. But then when they come down and ready to go to the recycling or wherever they're going to go, I look through them then and think, yeah. And there's sometimes you get one from someone and say, well, at least they're still alive, and
so what do you write back? I'm glad to see you're still alive. What do you say, man?
But it's people that you haven't seen for a long time, and I mean, there's a lady that I get a card from. She's called Sylvia. I haven't got a clue where she lives. I met her on holiday in Benidorm in 1981, and she was with her husband, and we shared the table in the restaurant, and that's it for about 4 days. I was only there a short time, and I shared their table at restaurant. We talked then, and we still got our husband died several years ago, and I still get a card from her. We still go to her. And
No, if it makes her happy.
And I wouldn't, if she came in here now, I wouldn't recognise her.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's some ways,
No,
it puts a smile on my face that I'm still getting a card from this lady. She's getting a one from my wife.
Yes.
I don't send them. And if that puts a bit of happiness, which would just be
fine. I mean,
life,
like you say, it's like any ritual. It's like a religious ritual.
So, yeah.
But for many people, going to the doctors is a religious ritual. Okay, we'll come to a break and then we'll carry on chatting after that.
Spice FM, to entertain, educate and enlighten. Text us on 80039 or email us at studio@spicefm.co.uk.
शो का नाम है तरन्नुम, राजू है मेरा नाम। हर जुमेरात आपके लिए गजलों की महफिल लेकर आता हूँ, ठीक रात 9 बजे। और काम अपना वही है, आपका दिल जलाना, दिल दुखाना और फिर दिल लगाना।
चलो पी ले के यार आए ना आए।
Welcome to your community announcement answer machine. Please record your message after the tone. To broadcast your community announcement on Spice FM free of charge, call 01912739888. Select option 3 and record your message. No more messages.
From oldie goldies to the latest hits, from discussions and chat to phone-ins and issues, Spice FM 98.8 FM.
Shri Ganeshaya Namah. Om Gananantva Gana.
Hello, Doc here with Steve and Angus. In the background, I finally found the right CD that I made once upon a time. It's got multi-faith prayers. It's got little snippets of Hindu, Jewish, Buddhist, Islamic, Christian, and Sikh. So Sikh and thou shalt find. So that's the Hindu one, and it'll go on and on and on. So tell me, what's your happy legs doing? I mean, not the legs under the table that you own, not the table, the legs that you own. You have invented that device called Happy Legs.
Yes.
And
yeah.
I've seen it. I put it under my mother's feet. It just makes you think as if you're on roller skates.
Yeah. We launched it in 2013. It's a fantastic product. As listeners may remember, the last time I was on, it's just a lovely, simple product that helps people who can't walk. And we all know, we hear every day from the health advisors and the doctors and the GPs that write in the papers, going for a 20-minute walk every day is very good for your health. And we all know why. And but it's difficult for people who can't do that. They can't.
But what are the advantages of the 20-minute walk? It clears your mind for starters.
Yeah.
It speeds your heart a little bit.
Yes,
the joints are moved.
Keeps the joints moving, stops them from seizing up. I think in terms of the legs, the lower legs, a lot of people might not know this, but it's the calf muscles that do the pumping of the venous blood back up the legs.
Because we weren't designed to stand on our two legs. We were monkeys meant to be on fours.
Yeah.
Because monkeys don't get varicose veins.
No.
Because this is the unnatural position, the standing up position.
Right. That's right. So when people don't walk, the blood from their foot and ankle area doesn't circulate properly.
So it gets left behind, and you got varicose veins and thrombosis and all sorts.
You get oedemas, and you don't get the fluid exchanges, and if you don't walk for long periods, that can be quite debilitating. And diabetics can suffer from worse cases of neuropathy, etc., etc. It's a catch-22. You've got to move your legs to get that.
So as you get older, you need that more, but you can't do it.
Yeah. So Happy Legs is a device that actually helps people who can't walk, and it's quite simple. You just put your feet on it, and you turn it on with a remote control, and you're sitting in your chair or your wheelchair, and the machine literally takes those legs for a walk.
And when I started using it, I mean, the thing that I always remember significantly from it was in a web 5 or 6 months ago now, when I first started using one, it was for the first time in my life I felt something in my calves because
you have Spina Bifida.
The feeling diminishes the further down your legs you go. Below my knees there's nothing at all. I remember when I used to go and see the neuro and the orthopedic surgeons, they used to get a little pin and they start at my toes and go all the way up my legs, and you shut your eyes and can you feel that? Can you feel that? Can you feel that? And it was only until they got to my knee when I could
That I
start to feel
started
anything.
feeling.
And then you find a little spot of blood all the way up my leg where they'd been pricking and things. Like, oh, what the hell's that?
Okay.
But I did. Now, when I used Happy Legs, it was strange feeling to start with, because in both calves at the back of my legs, I felt something.
For the
And
first
it was
time in
kind
your
of tingling for the first time.
ever.
And then this is when I got to understand, as
Okay.
Angus has just explained, that is the blood.
So that's quite a dramatic change,
Oh
isn't
yes,
it?
and it does make you. It's a tingling. It's a comfortable tingling. It's not a painful tingling in any sort of way. It's a nice feeling.
So as if your wooden legs have suddenly got life in them,
That's it. Yeah,
like Pinocchio.
Yeah, and then so you do it. You sit on the machine for half an hour, and I'm gonna say you sit on the machine. You sit in your chair or
You put your feet on there.
your comfortable chair.
Uh-huh.
You put your feet on the thing. It just does it. You don't have to do any effort, and after half an hour, which is as long as you really need to, you can go longer if you want.
But you can't do any harm
you
if
can't
you
do any harm. No, it doesn't affect. I've got as I mentioned earlier on, I had a heart attack last year. I've got an ICD, an internal defibrillator, that if a problem happen, I'll get an internal electric shock to put my heart back in. A lot of these things that have vibrations, electromagnetic pulses that simulate muscles in a similar sort of way, you cannot use them because they could affect the device. But you cannot on that. It's just natural leg movement of your foot. It's not overexerting you at all. It's a very slow motion. I mean, it's not like you're going for a sprint or anything like that. I don't know what sort of miles an hour, but probably not very many.
No, it's designed to be gentle because a lot of the people using it are frail.
Yeah. So your legs are moving, and they're only moving a matter of inches. It's not a back and forward. It's just a relaxing movement. And as I say, when I come off the machine after half an hour, you can still feel a tingling going on for 5-10 minutes afterwards of the pulsing still going on.
So you got the tinglings, and are your feet swollen? And is that what's
they get swollen at times, and I just get cold.
They're sitting with their feet down all the time.
Feet down, yes. I try to keep them on a puffy a lot of the time if I'm at home, but it does help to be sitting on this, and you can see. I mean, we've seen people when we had the was the D-Next thing, wasn't it? I guess when we exhibited there in September time, October, of people with a girl came with almost purple feet, and she put her feet
scared of the next child coming out looking like Dracula or something, and so you can't. I mean,
or a cigarette already in its mouth.
Yes. I mean, it's like taking a bottle of water and putting a label saying, before you drink this, ask your GP. It gets silly to a point that everything has to be checked with your GP. He's not God, He's another technocrat who's dealing with your body. Okay.
Somebody can blame them when it goes wrong.
Well, that's it, isn't it? Because these days we as a society, especially in the West and developed world, we have this idea that we must endure a pain-free life, and that if we have distress
and never die,
it's always somebody's fault, and
of
you
course
have to be compensated for that.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know why.
It's your fault. Why did you get born like? If you don't expect pain, don't even get born.
It's never your fault if you're overweight and you smoke and you drink excessively. It's not your fault if you die.
No. The doctor comes every day and stuffs your mouth full of food.
Exactly.
And puts a cigarette in your mouth.
I always remember it was Billy Connolly that said, he said, I'm being told not to drink and not to smoke and not to do all the other vices that are bad for my health. He says, so what's that going to do for me? He says, all it means is I'm going to die early and I'm not going to have to suffer sitting in a care home with dribbling and incoherent.
Okay. So you recommend smoking and getting overweight so you die
Billy
quickly?
Connolly did. Personally, no, I don't smoke.
Okay. I don't either unless it's free. Somebody offers me one. I've never refused a cigarette in my life.
Yeah.
But I've never bought a cigarette either. Yeah. So maybe in a year I'll smoke 2 cigarettes, 3 cigarettes. Just for a laugh, I like being a rebel. I just enjoy it. I don't like the straight and down.
Well, I think probably when you do it at school, you're 14. I probably had one drag. I think is that what they call it when you have one.
You had a drag. I
thought
you were a happily married guy. He had a drag. He says
that was when the word drag and gay were meant something different. In those days.
And hardware meant hammer and nails, isn't it?
Hardware, yes.
And it means something completely.
Definitely no computers.
No computers then.
Absolutely.
So, and I believe you've also come up with that's your Happy Legs invention.
Yes.
But being the mad scientist you are, you come up with something else.
Well, yes, Doc. I mean, we're always looking for new and strange and innovative things. And
And the company is Engerics.
embryonics.
Embryonics.
Yeah, embryonics.
Embryonics.
Now,
Embryonics.
this is the time of the year, Doc, where we hear an awful about people suffering from cold weather.
Hypothermia.
Yeah, people find it difficult to heat their homes, struggle to pay the heating bills, but they're relatively frail or disabled. And so, again, naturally, they're spending a lot of time sitting in a chair.
Yes, so they're not moving and burning calories.
Exactly. And so, sadly, around about 1,000 people a year die from being too cold at home.
It's about 3 a day.
Yeah,
Wow.
and it's a tragedy. And I got involved with an inventor who invented what's called the Be Warm.
Be warm is what it's
Be
called.
Warm, and the Be Warm is a very simple cover that one places over a chair, and you plug it in, and it's very like an electric blanket you have in a
got
bed.
one?
I
here?
have one, yes.
Can I see it, please? I've got a plug point here, and I'm going to be warm and fall asleep in a minute.
But the Be Warm.
So you say you put it on a chair and then sit on it, or do you wrap yourself in it?
You quite simply, obviously the listeners can't see this, but
No, but they see it on YouTube.
but when you see it on YouTube, you'll see it's quite simply.
It's like a chair electric blanket,
Yes, very
but
much.
you can't call it an electric chair.
No. But so quite simply, there's various attachments to make it fit to different types of styles of chair.
Right.
But essentially, what one does is just place this over the chair
Okay. Can I-
like that.
Have you tried selling it to Stephen Hawking?
Not yet.
Because have you seen the movie?
Not yet. Looks very good though.
It is very, very touching. Yes.
So, listeners, Doc's just putting that on this chair, and then he's getting comfortable.
And if I survive it,
and then
He
and if I'm a naughty boy, I'll
puts this plug in his mouth, and lo and behold, flames.
yeah. So essentially, what it does is it keeps the whole chair nice and warm, a bit like a sort of.
So it's more like an underlay, like a blanket underlay,
Yeah.
isn't it? Not like a. I thought it was like a. When you said blanket, I thought you put it on top of yourself, which is.
No. Yeah, it fits to the chair. It keeps the chair nice and
How
warm.
many watts is it?
Do you know what? I don't know. But it works out. It in terms of how much power it uses, about half a penny an hour.
All right.
Half a penny an hour. And
So 12p for 24 hours, even if you had it on 24.
Now, to give the listeners some perspective, it costs about 3 pence to boil the kettle.
Right.
So that's how much electricity a kettle uses. 3 pence. This uses.
But this
half
is
an
direct contact. You're not heating the whole house.
No.
You're
No.
heating the.
Yeah, you're heating the room. And it's got 4 different heat settings, and it's got a safety cut out after 4 hours.
So there's 4. So it's just flashing at the top.
Yeah.
And then what do you do? How do you change the
That's
setting?
it. Well, if you keep pressing it, it'll move back. So you've turned it off, then turn it on again.
This is a bit like snooker on the radio.
Yeah.
Switching
I just
electricity
checked it.
devices on.
I just checked it's plugged in properly, Doc.
Okay.
Oh, the light was on, so isn't there a light on?
Okay. So if you hear me dozing,
If you see
Good on.
smoke on the YouTube coming off his backside.
And it also, apart from keeping you warm, it's also nice and therapeutic on the back and the legs and the neck.
so it takes away the tension and so on.
Yeah. But it will keep people alive who are struggling to keep warm.
Okay.
So they can turn their heating down because they don't need to have the whole house hot. Well, hot water bottles are sort of an option, but you've got to get up every hour to heat the kettle,
And then put the water out and put the water in.
There's always risks there, and this is very, very simple.
So how old is this device? When did you invent? Did you invent it?
No, I didn't invent it.
You just found it.
I got in touch with the inventor. I was introduced to the inventor who again is another 80-year-old gentleman.
Just made it for himself.
He designed it to help his wife.
Ah.
And he's done it, and he's just been looking for somehow to take it from being an invention into a commercial idea, and that's how we got involved. Saying, well, that's
So
perfect.
is he in the UK or Spain?
Yeah, based in Wales.
Okay.
So he's a UK inventor, and we said, well, it's typically the type of customers that we get involved with. People sitting down all day.
Yes, both parts fit.
So it's a synergistic product with the happy legs, and again, it's this time of the year when people are suffering, and it's not expensive. It's only about $79.95 to buy, so it's not a prohibitively expensive product, and it's doing really well. People are certainly deciding, well, that's a really good idea. It fits almost any type of chair and some settees. So it's a great simple product. I'm a great believer in simple products. They're often sometimes the best.
Yeah. It's warming up.
Yeah.
It feels like another body.
So it's like 40 minutes and you'll be cooking.
There'll be smoke rising from my hair. Do you want me rare, medium, or well done? It's a well done, Doc. Dead.
Nice and cozy.
So how do you propose to show it to people? I mean, it's on Spice now.
Yes, well, it's we've obviously got the website, which has got information on it.
What's that site called?
The website's embryonics.co.uk.
Embryonics, EMBRYONIX.
ONYX. Yeah.
Embryo.
Two Y's.
Okay.
Where it sounds like
I thought there were three. Three wise men.
Three Y's.
Two wise, three
Two
wise.
Y's.
Okay.
And the dog.
And we literally, obviously, we really only launched it the week before Christmas. So there's a couple of showrooms already got it. So there's a showroom in Scotland got one. There's a showroom in Middlesbrough got one.
Doesn't Peacocks in Thomas Street want it?
Yes, I haven't spoken to them yet. And we've got we're talking to some of the big sort of furniture manufacturers.
What about the Disability Centre in front of Freeman?
Again, I haven't taken it to them yet.
Okay, but just ideas.
But all these places are the sorts of places we'll try and get into their showrooms. Oh, and there's one in Concert as well. H&M Mobility in Concert.
So the mobility places who sell wheelchairs and those
wheelchairs and
the scooters.
It's a bit like, as Angus says, is that the customers that he's dealing with directly want the happy legs, but yes, that's sitting in a seat. So any place any mobility outlet that's selling chairs, or they're like the armchairs, that sort of place where they're selling an armchair that a comfortable armchair, sometimes a higher one, maybe a one that's got a recline in it or an ability to help you get up. It complements that product.
Okay. Could some old people use it on their bed?
Yes, you could lie that down on a.
It's quite a long piece. You can lie on it.
You could do that.
And leave it on a low setting.
On a low setting, yes. So you could effectively, it's designed obviously to fit snugly to the chair because there's some attachments in the box to make it fit to the chair. It's not draped. It's actually fitted to the chair, so it's not going to fall off.
Okay, or slip off.
Slip off, yeah. So, but yes, you could lie it on a settee or you could lie it on a bed. Yes. Okay.
Thinking of lying in Goa, it's on a hammock, and I've got a generator giving me electricity. Okay. So have you tried it at any home, old people's home?
Not really. We haven't looked at homes yet. Simply because care homes themselves tend to be quite warm.
Right. They're running at what, 20 degrees?
Yeah, so they're always quite hot. Having said that, I have spoken to some people who've said that even despite that, some residents
they're
still
so cold. Yeah.
They feel ultra cold.
So I'll, instead of cooking everyone,
just cook a couple. Yeah.
So cook a couple who need it.
Yeah.
And the others can stay.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true, because I know for my own parents, for example, my mother's always cold. And so has the heating on high, the fire on, and my father's always saying it's like a furnace in here. So the
Jack Sprat could eat Jack Sprat could eat no fat, and Jill could eat no lean.
Yeah, something like that. So a bee warm could be a great idea, so that
bee warm.
Keep my mother warm. Yeah, keep my mother happy and my father happy as well.
Right. So that's a good idea. So you're always looking at products that help people, which are in direct contact with them, in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I just think there's lots of products out there, but there's quite a lot of conditions which we often in the modern society always try to find a very complicated and very high technology solution, which tends to be expensive. And
the more expensive, the more erudite and the more complicated.
So I'm always a great believer in simple is sometimes best. And
down to earth and simple.
Yeah.
But if you make it too complicated, it usually means more gadgets and dials and things that people have to do, and people don't want that. It's like using a computer. You know, if a computer only had 2 buttons, everybody'd be using one.
Yeah.
But as soon as you start, you know, as there are lots of different options and all sorts of stuff, it was a lot easier to operate the old Amstrad 1640 with one software application running at a time than to go into a Windows situation where you've got lots of different windows open doing different things at the same time. That's when it starts getting complicated.
Yeah, it's like the difference between the Happy Legs and the circulation booster. The Happy Legs just uses natural physical movement, very simple, very safe. Circulation booster will, let's electrocute the legs. Let's use high technology and electrocute the legs. Well, that's not natural. So naturally there are side effects.
Okay. So we missed the Christmas thing, but this would be a very good Christmas present for Granny.
Absolutely, Granny or anyone.
Happy Legs, they might say, what do you mean? It's a mechanical device. It's just it's a more yin device, isn't it? It looks very gentle and just drape it. And, But it's making you feel very comfortable. And therefore
you're feeling the warmth.
Yeah.
So this new dock, it took us, 3 minutes to set that up?
Indeed.
Yeah.
And that's it, you just leave it plugged in forever now. I mean, that's your chair, isn't it? You just obviously switch it off when you go to bed or go out the house for a little while. But
you said it cut outs in how long?
After 4 hours, it automatically shuts off.
Okay.
And all you have to do is...
So where's that? All the chips are inside here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And when it cuts out, if you want to keep it on, you just press the button again and turns it back on.
It's like standby.
Yeah, it's a bit like those timer switches on lights where you push the button in.
Yes.
And after a while, the lights turn off. All you have to do is push the button to start it again.
Yeah. Okay. So that's very comfortable. So old people's homes, disability places. Have you ever thought, I mean, my mother uses a mobile phone that I've seen in Maplin, 39 pounds.
Yeah.
It's got a massive size, big fat buttons, blue color LCD, 4 buttons you can program to.
Yeah.
And the SOS button, when you press, it sends text automatically. Please ring this number.
Yes.
So I've set it so that 2 of my friends and I get it.
Yeah.
And then she's got the call button for the people who look after her.
Yeah.
Apart from the standard call, but from a mobile.
Sure.
And 39 pounds.
Yeah.
Have a look at it. It's from Binatone. You might want to acquire.
I've seen them. Yeah.
Okay. I find it very useful and just USB charger. I got one for 50 pounds, which was much more expensive and much less in quality.
Yeah.
So I think they use it as a loss leader to help people.
Quite often. But you see, there's a big difference between that and your iPhone, isn't there?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's basic.
I know a lot of
basic
people.
functionality, and I mean, it's an iPhone. It's got a lot of facilities, but for many people, you don't need that. If you want to communicate, you just want to be able to go back to the old days of mobile phones, making phone calls. Maybe the odd text message.
One of the richest person from my diaspora. I mean, he has got 1,200 employees, so you can imagine how well off he is. He just says you use an old Nokia. He says if I put it to my ear, the iPhone touch, the phone, it goes in mute. If I put it in my pocket, it starts ringing somebody else. So, he's got that. But I said, look, it's time those excuses. It's time you modernize.
If all you want is a phone, then why get
Then that's fine, yes.
Yeah. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
Then I think they should make a phone which has and look who's here. Happy New Year.
Oh, yeah.
Happy New Year.
Hello.
Welcome.
Just passing by, I thought I'd say
No, it's
Happy
nice.
New Year to you.
Oh, let's warm his hands up. I'm sitting on the warm blanket.
Good to see you. Catch up with you both.
Right.
All right.
All 3 of you. And the listeners.
And the listeners as well.
Take care.
Thank you. Take care. It's nice when someone drops in, isn't it?
It is. It is.
So maybe people.
Where's his plums?
So maybe people like us. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, where's the plum chap?
Yes, where's Buffer?
Yeah.
Zafar?
Zafar.
Where's he?
Zafar Bhatti.
Get yourself in, Zafar.
Aye,
when he
Zafar. They're
comes.
looking for plums
And table tennis.
and table tennis. Yeah. So get yourself going. In the Heaton Mosque.
Oh yes, we're waiting to get it sorted. Tom's.
Oh,
I'll be seeing Tom soon, and we'll get the
okay.
seeing him next week.
All right. That'll be really good because it brings the communities together.
I'm looking forward to it. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that it got done here. And a lot of things happen here,
Oh,
very
yes,
different
we're
people
triggering
get
lots of-
connected.
I mean, you used to go back to the thing with Christine, and
Yes.
I mean, her singing was fantastic. The YouTube's great. The video of that, and she got a few quid, and
Yeah.
she was at the A1 speakers on Monday.
Oh,
as well,
wonderful.
So she's going to
Wonderful.
join, I think. And
Well, bring her back,
yes, well, we'll bring in from time
Mrs.
to time.
Deponio.
Christine Deponio.
Yes.
Fascinating stuff.
Okay. So what's next? What are you next looking to, Angus?
Oh,
Solving the world's problems of health. We all live till 500 now.
yeah. Well, there's living and there's existing, isn't there?
Yes. A lot of people exist.
Yeah.
A lot of people seize life, carpe diem and all that.
Yeah.
And say, just do it.
Yeah. So no, at the moment we're obviously just focusing on the Happy Legs and the Bee Woman and the little hand massager that we've got as well.
I haven't seen that.
We'll have to bring that one in.
Yeah.
next time.
Anything of interest to people. I mean, anything that makes them not go to the doctors and chew tablets.
Well, this is my wife's actually got. There's a condition. I can't remember how you pronounce it. Raynaud's disease.
You write Raynaud's.
Raynaud's, is it? Yeah. Where people get very cold, sore fingers and digits. And obviously,
Does she get purple hands, bluish hands?
Yeah. Sometimes people who suffer from this are wearing gloves in the house because their fingers are so. And it's a device to help with that condition. Very difficult. It's easy.
Would you try ginkgo biloba?
Yes, heard of that. Yeah.
Ginkgo biloba means bilobed, like the leaf is bilobed, like that.
Yeah.
My secretary in the practice at the Elmfield Health Group, Sue, she had terrible hands, purple, like quite worrying, You touched it, it was so cold. She took it and absolutely fine.
Did it work? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just giving one example.
Yeah.
It's
this
good.
is just a little massager. You basically hold the device with one hand and you just put your fingers in it and just basically it just massages the fingers and gets all the tissues and the capillaries all massaged and
so improves the capillary circulation.
Yeah, I mean, my wife, she came in from the garden with 3 sore putting hands. I said, well, try that, just have a go. So she sat there and she's very sceptical. Well, she wouldn't say it was good if it wasn't. And she sat there for 5 minutes and she said, do you know what? She says, my hands feel like brand new after that. So very, again, simple solutions. No drugs required, no invasion required, no side effects.
But no drugs is already very good. I mean, you're saving on the national exchequer, you're saving on the person's health from side effects, you're saving on the GP's time, and most importantly, you're getting the patient involved.
Yeah.
Otherwise people feel like passive.
Well, you see the impact of it. I mean, I pour thousands of tablets down my throat every morning, and
but you got a funnel and you just...
well, just about. When I used to eat them one at a time, and I thought, well, I'll be on all day if I do this. So just get the handful and
make it easy. Yeah.
And most of them are, as far as I understand, are there to stop the side effects of the other ones. I think there's probably one tablet that I really need to fix.
Professor Rollins was the head of pharmacology, and as a very keen young doctor, I said, look, all these drugs, do you know the side effects of 2 drugs? He said, yes. 3, he's a bit shaky. 4, and he said, I haven't a clue. Because you don't know because the bodies are so different. The time of the day makes a difference. Whether you've had a meal or not, how you're emotionally feeling, it all affects the drug reaction. How happy your
liver is. Some have got written on eat before meals, some of them say eat after a meal, so your meal takes...
I just take them all after a meal. I can't be bothered, It's life is not just tablets, man. Get over it. And the Medidosets and all.
Yeah, so I've got them. I have to get them because when I first got them last year, and there was umpteen boxes. I mean, I needed a carton to put them all in, and you have to pick 1 out of there, pick 2 out of there, pick 3 out of there. Stuff this. Let's get Boots to do it for me, and it comes in a Medi pack, and I get it once a week, and they're all in their individual pouches for the morning and
counted out
lunchtime, and they counted out.
And a week in advance.
Yes,
when the last pack is there, you can order it.
Yes, they can get it. Comes on every week, brand new. So it's far easier to do that. And I think that's something that people should be aware of. I don't know whether there's other older people who I think it's meant for a lot of the time. The people who are, having to take tablets, because it's important that if you have to take tablets, and I think a lot of people do at the moment for certain things, that you take them at the right time and you.
But it's over regimented. I mean, say. Antibiotics 250 milligrams. With your weight, you'll still take 250, and a kid of 10 will take the same. He's a third of your weight, and still the tablets is the same. So there's a huge margin of forgiveness in the drugs, a big window, therapeutic window. And then people get so het up about time expired. I took tetracycline for acne once. It took something that was 3 years out of date. So what? It won't be 250, it'll be 249, it'll be 230 milligrams of efficacy. So what?
It doesn't actually go off. It just
it doesn't go off one fine morning. Oh, my time expired.
Magic day. Yes, yesterday these tablets were perfectly all right.
Yeah, and
today useless.
It's a bit like sell-by date of
sell-by
food.
date food. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's all just marketing stuff, isn't it?
Yes. To sell more.
To sell you more. So you throw it away and you go and buy another one.
That's it.
It's Red Hot Radio.
Hello, it's Doc with my friends Angus and Steve, Wheelchair Steve, and we're talking about anything that comes to our mouth.
Yes.
But it doesn't come to our brain. Yeah, okay. And listeners, I'm terribly sorry if you're trying to ring, which I know a million of you are. The line's not working. I've done my best. My phone's busy videoing, so I can't tell Sandeep and all. So, yeah, Rob Pugel told me this morning it's not working. I've tried fiddling with all the different knobs. I think we need a brand new telephone. I think, but never mind. I don't know. So, yeah, so don't ring in because the line's not working. What do you think of the care from the health service? I mean, where is this all going to pan out?
Well, I think it's going to be interesting because we've got this general election coming, and it seems to be the big political hot potato is how much money needs to be poured in. And we've just had the results the other day saying that casualty waiting times were increased by what they were trying to make it sound like a dramatic number. I know if you're meant to hit 95%, you hit 94 or 93.
Yeah,
or
but
whatever.
who decides whether you should wait 3 minutes or 3 hours?
Well, that's the thing. But it just somebody to hit the health service with a stick, you know. And I think, I've personally found over the times I've ever had to go, you know, as I said earlier on, in Australia last year and more recently in the UK, that the health service is fine. I think the problem is that there's expectations to get a quart out of a pint pot. You cannot.
So as more and more people
living longer,
and as science is creating new diseases,
yes,
some intentionally, some unintentionally, as bad food is creating bad living, stress,
and people doing, you know, getting drunk and falling off their heels or just falling into the gutter.
Why should we treat someone who's drunk?
Well, because the current system says you should.
I say this because Veera Baird, the police crimes commissioner, and between them they've got a thing on vulnerability. And what they do is say, if your niece, daughter, whoever, a bloke gets drunk, they don't need to clog up the casualty. Why are they sitting casualty? They were lying under the Tyne Bridge drunk, but some kind people, and they're called street pastors.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
These are people from churches who are giving their time on Friday and Saturday, completely free. And I take my hat off to them, my proverbial hat, because they give the time and you get in and they just sit you comfortably till your dad comes and picks you up or smacks you or tells you off. Imagine a typical scene. Newcastle is famous for nightlife, right? Yes. So a lot of people, men and women, come from different cities to get drunk and debauched here. There's the Rome's center for debauchery now, isn't it? Yeah. So you come from York, there's 5 girls, just make it girls because they're more vulnerable, I think. Say maybe 10 girls, right? And one gets extra excited, you know how they all get all pheromonal and start shouting and shrieking. I mean, it's just idiotic nonsense. No decent conversation, and then the bouncer throws her out or asks her to leave, and the other is so drunk they don't realize that she's now in danger. So she got a card, maybe that she's lost it somewhere. She doesn't even know which hotel they are staying in, and she certainly doesn't know what Newcastle is. This is the Buddhist thing. So that's a Buddhist chant. So cyclically
it's interesting because there's an advert that's on the I think it's on the metros and probably buses at the moment about saying that think of it as your money, your phone, and your keys or something. Make sure you've got those 3 things when you're out. You know?
Yes, for that reason.
For that reason is that,
and especially if you're not a local person,
yes,
who do you ask what?
Mm-hmm. Where am I staying? I don't know what the name of the hotel is. I couldn't even tell you where it is.
And then the police time, ambulance time, casualty time is taken up by this very vulnerable girl. Mm-hmm. And these girls can be picked up by very
consequently
bad men.
Consequently, the onus on the health service, the police service, whatever it might be, means that those that have a genuine case of illness,
they get delayed.
They can get delayed for, you know, what
or they suffer
critical things.
They're lying in bed suffering while some drunk is puking all over the casualty. So I think drunk should not be granted.
I don't know the answer to the question because you hear often saying, well, you should charge people for that, but how do you start getting into that, managing that sort of process?
Well, if you don't charge, you won't get better. I say the exact opposite. If it's free, you don't value it. Mm-hmm. The number of people who don't come to cervical smear appointments. Yeah. One appointment you don't come, goodbye. Get your cancer, suffer, die. If you have this softy, namby-pamby mother state attitude, and I've been a GP, what is there to apologize for? I mean, if you don't want it, don't take it.
As a doc, you do make a very important point. We have a free health service, and for 60 years we've had a free health service, and the generation today, and even the generation before us, don't appreciate when something's free. You don't appreciate it.
Yeah.
You abuse it.
But you see, your grandparents, even your parents' generation, if they're old enough, or grandparents, they truly appreciate. They know what it is not to have a doctor.
And they would be there for the appointments.
Yes.
And they would certainly explain well in time to reuse that appointment if they couldn't get there. I think there's a lot of arguments for charging, and I think rather than start charging, if every time you have a prescription, every time you have some treatment, every time you go for a consultation, you should be given notification of that, and at the bottom, how much that's actually cost the NHS.
It's like the ingredients on food.
Yeah.
Which country of origin, is there nuts in it, and so on. Is that kind of a thing.
This today, this injection you've had, or this X-ray you've had, this cost £500. Now, in America, you'd pay that £500 and you'd claim it off your insurance.
Yeah.
In Germany and other countries.
Same in Australia. I mean, we had to pay for the prescription tablets, but then you go and claim it back off their, there's this sort of equivalent part of the NHS that you have to go and sign up for. You claim it back. But you see the value. You have to go into the Boots equivalent and pay $100 or whatever it was.
So if you didn't turn up for an appointment, you get a letter saying you didn't turn up for your appointment on Thursday at 10:35. This has cost the NHS £400. Okay, so people will start to realise what they've wasted.
Yes.
And until they realise what they've wasted,
why should they care?
They won't care.
Why should they care? And that's one aspect. The other aspect is we see the same faces in the surgery all the time.
Yeah.
I'd like to see people I haven't seen for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years. Yeah. But if you're seeing the same faces, two things are happening. One, they've got a chronic problem. It's not a chronic problem. It is a problem I haven't a clue about. If I knew what the hell was wrong, they'd get better.
Yeah.
And we can't even say, no need to see you. If any new symptoms happen, come. Oh, no, I must check. The the neurological department are very good at that. I'll see you in 6 weeks' time, 6 months' time, 6 years' time. What for? They've got something incurable, and tell them, and that's it. Why do you need to keep seeing them? You're not giving them hope. I mean, if there was a psychologist and counseling and alternative ways to deal with the alternative therapies, fine. I mean, there's so many things. There are machines that help with cancer. Yeah. There's one being demonstrated, I think, on Monday at 11 o'clock at Freeman. I'm going to it to have a show at 12.
Yeah.
But still, I'll attempt to show my face there. There are so many things to help. I mean, apart from Happy Legs and the blanket and the hand thing, that's a product you're developing to help people. What do you use to prevent you seeing the doctor?
Do you know what, Doc? I'm a firm believer in not excessing in anything. So I don't smoke. I don't drink too much. I try to do exercise. I try to keep happy. I try to have a positive mindset.
So how soon are you talking about the mind? At one time, this would be anathema. What are you talking about the mind? I'm talking about your body here.
Yeah.
So the shift has happened,
Yeah.
When I joined my practice in 83, I started talking this language in 1983. And then I found a Balint group, Michael Balint. He was an East European doctor who came in I think the First World War, I'm not sure. And while others were discussing conflicts, he was discussing psychotherapy.
Yeah.
And he says, every interaction of the doctor and the patient can be psychotherapeutic. You have to be honest. You have to be transparent. Of course, you have to be polite. But a lot of doctors hide behind that politeness. Like hide behind religion. Like hide behind any ism. So that it's not bedside manners. It's honesty, Be kind. Be compassionate. But don't put on bedside manners because it distinguishes you. At one time...
So you would rather suggest that they're more realistic in saying, pull your finger out your arse and just...
Or wherever you like keeping
stop
it.
Eating food or whatever it is.
Yeah.
No,
I'll say it seems you don't want to cut down your weight.
Well,
you don't want to do this.
Yes.
You don't want to do that. How do you think I could help you? I've said, because I worked in drug addictions, I got the skill of facing people. And despite being from India, I've learned to be polite. India say, what? Fat you, go away, don't come back until you lost 2 stones in weight. And they'll go and lose it. The doctor has that power and the magic. Here we've lost it all in political correctness. We can't even use a placebo. Other doctors will find out and, what? He's a witch. They won't say he's a wizard, he's a witch. I love placebos. Yeah. If I could get distilled water injections on normal saline, I would. If it helped somebody. Because I'm here to help, not to promote science.
Yeah.
You're not animals, you're people. And if I can fool you into getting better, I'd rather do that than keep it all scientific.
Well,
And
it's like Munchausen, people with Munchausen, they're not ill, they just want to be ill. So they keep calling on the doctor saying, oh, I've got an ache here, I've got a pain.
No, but how many
here."
people have told them to the face? I have. I had one lady like that, an Asian lady. I said, look, why do you come and see me? I feel better. I said, I feel worse. I've told her right to her face. I said, you've been here every single week for the last 5 weeks, and I've never found anything. I tell you what, I can't find anything. Go to my partner. He's a much better doctor. Or preferably go across the street. You'll find an even better doctor.
Yeah.
And I wish you had to pay for your therapy.
Yeah.
I think it's going back to what started at the beginning of the show about the happiness and the smiling.
Yes.
If you're getting, in some people, it's reassurance that if you say, take this, whatever it is, and this is where I think ethically you wouldn't be allowed to give distilled water. Or
Why?
Well, yeah, because it's not the done thing.
Why? Exactly.
Yeah, but that's
so who are the other idiot doctors to decide?
If people
See,
believe,
I'm a professional. I'm not answerable to anyone except myself.
yes,
And unless I go out of line like Shipman and start killing everyone. No. I should have the facility to think for myself, for God's sakes. I'm a professional. I profess. And my patients had fewer drugs. They were happier. I fitted the times around them. And I mean, why can't I use distilled water to get them better? Why should other doctors gang up on me saying, we are no good and you shall be no good? We don't believe in placebo. Well, you don't. I do.
no, I think it's almost like a transfer of energy.
Yes.
In some ways, if you can say to somebody, you drink this
Yeah.
twice a day.
Hmm.
The person believes they're going to get better, and because you start to believe you're going to get better,
That's
you
right.
will get better.
It's not the other person. It is
like
your
faith
own
healers,
belief.
isn't it? It's like
Yes,
faith-
well, exactly.
Yeah.
Faith healing is frowned upon because, again, doctors will lose out on the business.
But you go back to Nina that we had in a few months ago with her cancer. She believed that rather than having the chemo and the stuff that was the standard treatment, that would have killed her because of the side effects.
The side effects kill you
She went
long before the
she
cancer.
got the proper stuff that cleanse the body, and was drinking water as most of the time. She was drinking clean water and keeping the toxins flowing and getting the.
So she bucked up her immune
And
system.
she that's it, yeah. So there is living proof that somebody can do that kind of thing and recover from something as serious as the cancer.
Yes, exactly. So, man or humans or animals have been fighting infection and cancer all the time. Every minute we all kill, average, 70 cancer cells, more than a cell a second. We're killing in the whole body. But we're killing it because that's the homeostasis you've achieved. Just like having bugs in your gut. We don't fall because they're not pathogenic, meaning they don't kill us.
Yeah.
Those bugs are our friends. It's like you're a cow with head lice and the crow comes and eats the head lice of you. So the cow is happier without the head lice and the crow's got food to eat. That's how it works out. It's symbiosis, really. So why? I mean, I don't understand this professionalism of attempting to be scientific. And the science we talk about in medicine, largely, no, not entirely, I must say things are changing, is Newtonian baby science. It's what you teach in class 5, class 10. But once you go to high school, you start understanding quantum physics.
But you take that blanket that going back to Angus has brought in, you're
Yes.
sitting on now. That is just the old. If you go back to the cavemen, lighting a fire. That's all you've done there. You've just done it in a. You can't light a fire in the middle of your living room floor underneath your
We
seat.
have for the first time a fire on the table.
Yes.
It's got a candle.
So the alarm's not going off.
No.
It should be going off. But that's all it is. It's just providing heat. It's nothing clever. That's something that's been around for a long time. If you keep warm, it makes you better, and because your body temperature is maintained at a level.
Back to simple solutions.
Absolutely simple. Move your body, move your legs, and it'll help the blood to flow. Well, isn't that an amazing invention just to try and do?
People are now growing up with technology taking away what you used to do for yourself. So we've got this mindset that we don't have to make an effort.
No.
There is an
Somebody
app.
else doing it for me.
There's this app, there's a technology, there's a device, there's a gadget that can make life easier for me. And you see that every day. I mean, even 30 years ago, the things that are in your house that you can use now
Well, you used to have to stand up to turn the telly over, and
Oh my
use
God.
energy to turn the knob.
Yeah.
It was you had to you had to
microwave
change.
ovens.
If
And,
you're old enough to remember that BBC was Channel 5 and ITV was Channel 8, you had to turn the knob halfway.
You're
around.
not talking of Rediffusion, are you?
No, that was even normal tellies had
Okay.
5 and 8.
Okay.
You had to turn the knob quarter of a turn, and haven't got out of your seat to go to the television to do it.
Oh, I see.
We've even got driverless cars coming.
Yeah.
This is technology, and the thing is, we're surrounded by technology wherever we are, and all of the technology we have relies on electricity, and and we need more and more electricity for everything we have.
Yes.
But as soon as the electricity stops for whatever reason, we
You're
can't
stumped.
function.
You're completely
we can't
stumped.
do anything.
Yeah.
We can't do anything.
And Steve was telling me before you arrived in the bistro, he was telling me about electricity being off.
Yes, well, I think you said it was off briefly where you are from your office, didn't you?
Yeah, I was sitting in the office just on the computer. Oh, the lights went out because the computer's got a battery and it carried on staying on. And I thought it was just a power cut in the building, but then I got told it stretched down to Bladen.
Yes, it was all over.
So it's on the
Metros
grid.
were off.
But I couldn't do anything. I couldn't use the printer. I couldn't use the telephone. I couldn't use an email.
You have to watch the television in the dark.
But the television didn't work. There's no power.
Yeah. So technology is there, but you should still have the creativity to carry on working when the technology ain't there. I was at the Film Institute of Delhi, not the big one, Pune and Mumbai one. It's a smaller one.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was there to talk about stress. And the lights went off. And even the generator didn't kick off. I mean, this is a class I was running for students. I said, 5 of you in the front row, can you put on your mobile phones and put it on my face? So they had their mobile phones light on my face. And I carried on talking for half an hour.
Yeah.
No charts, no PowerPoint, no video camera, no nothing. So you find some way. In fact, I enjoy that
Resilience,
kind of thing.
yeah.
But Doc, that shows the difference between someone who thinks, okay, there's a problem. How do I sort it out? Well, the people said, well, computer's not on. I can't do anything.
Don't you have a
Used to
mouth
have
and a
that.
brain and a pen
Used to
and a
have that.
pencil?
Used to have that at work situations. People suddenly say, "Oh, I can't. The computer's gone off. It wasn't necessarily the power. I can't do anything." You think, well, there's plenty of things you could be doing if the manager was creative.
Little things like this thing is my outside house key. That little thing saves me hours. While I'm coming out of the car, I can feel which one it is. And then I've got those IKEA LEDs that light with the battery.
Yeah.
Why do you have to keep looking for the hole? It's an IKEA, those little gadgets.
Yeah.
There is so much around. And I enjoy solving those kind of problems,
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, otherwise life's so boring, so the same. Sameness kills me. I don't know. I mean, does sameness kill you if you did the same jobs?
Yes, I've never been one for liking just repetitive things. I like to do various. You eat the same. Used to have the old Mondays fry up the Sunday lunch, and then Tuesdays whatever it is, Wednesdays this, and when you used to have days for certain things, washing day was Monday, and bath day. Yes. Did you not used to have a bath once?
When I came to the country,
you had to have one every fortnight. A bath.
No, India, you have to. It's a hot country. If you don't bathe every day, you stink.
All right.
Your hair gets knotted.
We must have stunk.
Perspiration.
Yeah.
But then, you get used to it. And now, I believe, just going contrary, how much soap do we use for what? I use soap only on the hairy areas, all the bits that produce hair, because it's got eccrine glands. And even that, I mean, I don't use soap on my face or arms or anything. There's no need. I don't smell. Because the body develops a certain bacterial layer that is good for it.
Yeah.
Even the hair thing. I'm not saying we all should have sticky, matty, stupid-looking hair like the Swamis have or the Rasta people have. But once it's settled down, they all mat and there's no smell, no nothing.
Yeah.
So I think we over-preen ourselves and get rid of our even pheromones.
They say that sometimes you're washing all the good bacteria.
Yes.
People get more infections.
But same with guts. Our guts is full of 1.5 kilos, 2 pounds of bacteria. 2 pounds, that's a lot of bugs,
Yeah.
But these are bacteria that we have developed over time. And they keep us happy. They help digest, they give us vitamin B12 and B1 and all sorts. Now, if you wash it all away, or in the guts case, if you take antibiotics and kill your friendly bacteria, it's like American enemy fire. Friendly fire, which Americans are very good at. They'll kill British soldiers. Sorry, that was just a friendly fire. you know, the kind of thing. So taking antibiotics is friendly fire. You're killing yourself.
Well, that's the thing about cancer treatment, isn't it? If you bombard with radioactive
and that will kill you faster than the cancer could.
It's going to affect other bits of your body that aren't working.
Yes, and I think I'm not a health freak or anything. I drink water, but I don't listen to the doctors. You know, I just don't listen to the government either, and I'm quite healthy. I don't exercise at all, and I'm ashamed to admit it. It's all right for me. I don't have any arthritis. I think the biggest thing is in health. I think the most important thing is sleep. I mean, I've noticed that if I have 6 hours sleep, and I occasionally check it with an app, sleep cycle, then the quality of the sleep is about 60-70%.
And do you have one sleep a day, or do you have like
no? I mean, you will have in the afternoon, if I have nothing else to do, I'll just, if I feel like it.
Sometimes, if after having a meal, you know,
your blood sugar goes up.
Yes, you feel like having a sleep, and sometimes I'll just sit in the chair
and doze off.
For an
but
hour.
If you had an electric blanket, like be warm, you'll doze off quicker.
See. Is that why you've been shut your eyes a few minutes?
Well, I'm getting a bit cozy. Really cozy.
It's the smoke that's coming off the backside.
Yes.
So we're into the medium to rare. We're past the rare.
But I think sleep is, and then the next thing is mental switch. I can be talking to you, and then something else comes. I do that. You see, the friction comes when the ego gets in the way. How dare he do that? What did he say? Who does he think he is? She loves me. You know, all those kind of statements. You're still hooked to the outside. I'm not a big yogi or something, but it just doesn't bother me. If you praise me, 10 seconds, I'll be happy. If you curse me, 10 seconds, I'll be miserable. And most of the times, I don't bloody care. If you start caring what people say about you, obviously, if everyone's saying your trouser zip is down, please look at your trouser zip and zip it up. But people make all sorts of stupid comments. Yesterday, somebody, I had a show with an Indian journalist. I've known him for about 15, maybe 20 years. And I thought, I've got Skype, let's interview him. And from a friend of mine, you can call him a friend, he says, what were you talking about? I said, I'll put it on YouTube, you can see it. How can I text what I'm talking about for 2 hours, I mean, if you script it, it becomes a book, like. So he says, why don't you were talking about India? I said, yes. Why didn't you talk about things in the West End? I said, you tell me. What about the sanctuary operation? I said, fine. You research it, you prepare the script, you come and do a show, I'll manage the twirly knobs and everything in the studio. Didn't hear after that. So people have very infertile ideas. Some fell by the wayside because they won't see it through. They're just like armchair journalists, armchair critics. They'll just say something. They don't bother me. They just...
The expression that I always bugs me when those sort of things is somebody said something should be done.
Something should be done.
So there'll be a gripe about something to do with the local government, national government, health service. Doesn't matter what it is. Something should be done. Well,
the government should do something.
The government should do something. Even worse.
Should do something. Now, what are you seeing? Your life is dictated by 650 politicians who you don't know. You've seen Cameron on the telly, and a few of the others.
But he's not your next door neighbour, like.
But he's not somebody that you've got any. If you want
to
make a difference to your life, do it yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the whole point. I totally agree with what Steve says there. But we've got this situation whereby people, half the community expect the government to do everything because they're just lazy and they've grown up to this.
But this is the free lunch thing. But it's back to the free health service and the free lunch.
The other half who do want to do something are told by the officials that they're not allowed, they're not qualified, they can't do it.
Like doctors can't give placebo.
That's one example. The other example is when there was a problem with some overgrown weeds and stuff in a field. So the locals said, the council hasn't got the money because of the cutbacks to attend to the weeds in the park. So we'll do it. No, you can't do that. Health and safety.
Whose health? The weeds' health and safety.
Change the rules now where you can clean the snow outside your house.
Are you allowed
you weren't allowed to move the snow outside your house in case somebody slipped over it.
But doesn't it all go back to the reason why you can't or you shouldn't do this is because if something happens, someone's going to get sued and someone's going to get compensation.
Do you think I care? Sue me. Go on.
We should stop all this.
Suing is not such an easy thing, Suing is quite complicated. And I was just thinking, if you take an initiative, let's talk about this candle thing. One gentleman came and mentioned it. I mentioned it to my two best friends. They said, go ahead. So I've got now the psychics team to do it. I spoke to one or two more people. I started putting bits on YouTube. I started taking things down from Peshawar, so people get to know it's happening. And probably 100 people turned up. The beacon wasn't available. I said, no, you have to give it to me. You just have to, but we won't be there. I said, doesn't matter if the beacon burns down, it's my responsibility.
Yeah.
And so they said, fine, do it. I had the access to the keys.
Yeah.
Then somebody wouldn't open the front door, but the girl who has got a shop there, Shella, she had the keys. She came with the kids. She opened the door.
Yeah.
Then somebody came in and said, oh, we'll arrange the candle. I said, just go ahead. See, the problem often is of people who are organizing, they don't let others have their ideas.
Yeah.
It's my idea. I want one child to light a candle at a time. I mean, for God's sakes, if you lit 140 candles, it would take all evening. So I said, somebody carries on lighting the candles and the kids make a speech. Then one girl she's what, 20-ish, I guess. And she says, I want to talk. I say, you're not a kid. She said, but I will speak. I mean, that's enthusiasm.
Yeah.
I said, go ahead. Then there was a lady councillor. I said, then you speak. And then I asked one or two, they didn't. And then my friend Yavar, I said, come and speak. And it all went off very smoothly because it's everyone's. It's not owned by any one person.
Yeah.
And then they said, what do you do with it? I asked one or two people. We had collected about 70. So I threw in 20. Somebody that evening put in 30 more. And next morning from London, I get a phone call. I want to donate. I said, how much? They said 51. I said, obviously you're Indian or Pakistani because we never give 50. It has to be 51. It looks better. Like the Brits, they take a penny off things, isn't it?
Yeah.
9.99.
9.99.
That's petrol, isn't it? You have a 0.9 of a penny. We don't have that. But...
So if you open that, I'll show you what it is. So yeah, and the person who was going to bring the candles didn't, but I knew it was cheap and bargain buys. That is it's not the inscription we are doing. It's upside down as well, and it's Arabic, so I can't read it still. But this is nice piano varnished one. Show me the other one. He's like an air hostess, isn't it? He's demonstrating. And the other one is the size we are sending. And what we hope to write on it, and that's a covering, it's marble covered. And we have 170 pounds in the kitty. It's all right, you just damaged 100 pounds worth of steel. Okay. So again, it's that shiny piano cover. And then that will be inscribed over it, yeah?
This would be on here.
Exactly like that.
Yeah.
And so instead of just black, it's a bit marbled.
Yeah.
So do you know how much that costs? Guess. We're all done. And no charity, nothing. How much will it cost commercially?
To buy this sort of stuff, typically, commercially, you could end up paying anywhere between 50 and 150 pounds.
Okay, 35 pounds.
There you go. Yeah.
35 pounds, and it's all done on Condacum Road. And the fellow says, no, I'm not giving a discount. That is the price. So he's given me one, what it looks like. I've shown it to my friends. I'm not going to go to everyone asking. I'm not going to put it on YouTube because if you ask, people will tell. The guys who have forgotten all about it, they'll have the most to say. So the plan is to get it done and find the channels which will take it right there. Because, we have to be sensitive. It's an army thing. And if you're sending this... And by the way, you can hang it on the wall. Just look at the back.
And this is going to get sent to Peshawar, is it?
To Peshawar, yes.
Right, yeah.
Turn, look at the back of it. On the back of it. So you got hooks on the two sides, and that rod also makes it stand on end, so you can put it on the table. Yeah. It's just marvelous for 35 pounds.
And it's a wish from here.
That's right. It'll say, with love from the children of Newcastle, UK, to the children of Peshawar, Pakistan. That's all. Mm-hmm. There's no God, there's no Allah, there's no military, nothing. Pure love.
I was going to say that's the love, and it's the happiness. Well, it should come from that.
Yeah.
It's just to say somebody who they don't even know cares in a distant part of the world that they don't even know where it is.
Time for a break, and then we'll talk some more.
From oldie goldies to the latest hits, from discussions and chat to phone-ins and issues. Spice FM 98.8 FM.
कम्युनिटी अफेयर्स दियार गैर में बसने वाली अपनी एशियन कम्युनिटीज़ के दरपेश मसाइल पर मबनी टॉक शो जो खबरों, तबसरों और तज्जियों के साथ आपकी खिदमत में हर बुध की रात 10 बजे से 12 बजे तक स्पाइस FM 98.8 से पेश किया जाएगा। इस प्रोग्राम को सुनिए, कॉल कीजिए और शामिल हो जाइए यावर हुसैन के साथ। कम्युनिटी अफेयर्स, आपकी आवाज़।
Welcome to your community announcement answer machine. Please record your message after the tone. To broadcast your community announcement on Spice FM free of charge, call 0191273988. Select option 3 and record your message. No more messages.
That's multi-faith prayers from my CD. That's an Islamic call of the Muezzin. So that's a Sikh bhajan or Shabad, as they say. So it's got multi-faith and it goes round and round and round, as the world does and as everything else does. So yeah, getting back. So we haven't heard much from Amma, you know.
Yes.
You haven't?
No, I haven't.
No. Well,
No.
I have a very funny attitude to life. If I take something on, I take it with such pride and joy and gusto that the guy who's supposed to be running with it has forgotten all about it. So I've kept quiet for a month. Sandeep sent me an email saying, do they want the ad? Now, if they want it, they'll come back. If they don't, just stop and see.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think probably since I was last on that the government came out with new numbers about the value of the call it the purple pound, the disabled pound, and how much people that have access needs. And it's £200 billion a year. They've now decided eventually that if you and I go out for a meal, that you're going to spend some money as well. They used to just count my money, you know. So if we went out, I was worth £80 billion pounds a year to the community, to the business world, of whether it's restaurants or wherever. Where I'm going to spend my money. Now they've decided that you might spend some money as well. I know you didn't because you forgot your wallet that day.
I remember my wallet. Just listeners, please listen to this ungracious man. Today you can have a dosa from me. Would you like to?
Not today, no, because I've got...
Oh, thank God for that. I've got my wallet and he doesn't want to go. So listeners, I was going to spend £100 on them.
Oh, yes,
you can't.
yes.
You
Well,
can't.
I'll have another dosas because it's a very good... Anyway, but the thing now, they've decided it's 200 billion. Now, what I'm expecting then, which hasn't happened, is suddenly, oh my God, we've now got all this money, we better go and do something about it.
Yes, yes.
Has it happened? Not likely. Because it doesn't register the value of what I've just called there, the purple pound, the disabled pound. How much?
So the purple pound is the disabled pound.
It's called that, yeah. And it hasn't registered. And I don't know what the answer is. Is to places wanting to be more accessible and recognise that there are people who have access needs. And it's not just people with disabilities. It's older people, it's parents with pushchairs who want to get into places and they don't want to have the hassle of lifting up steps and getting through narrow doorways.
Well, lifting up steps, we found it impossible.
Well,
3 of us found it impossible.
Because I'm on the large side.
It's slightly.
It was because we had a big thing. We had whatever it was we had. It was a hell of a big meal.
And your weight went up 15 kilos
15
from that.
kilos, exactly. But I think, I don't know what the magic solution is. It's not something that people want.
You know, in politics, there's too much posturing. They don't mean what they say. They don't say what they mean. It's a load of rubbish. I mean,
it's almost.
I mean, I'm not saying all of them. Many.
They don't want to offend anybody.
Well, if you can't offend, you can't make an egg if you don't break the eggshell.
Yeah. They're too worried about offending anybody. The trouble is, you can say something and someone will be offended.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
you say good morning and someone will be offended. It's not a good morning.
Nothing good about it. It's raining. Yeah.
And I think things like accessibility is a difficult thing to say, as when we've talked about this plenty of times in the past, is that what is accessible to me isn't accessible to somebody else, and vice versa. And I've just been getting
so it is full of compromises, but the intention, if it's okay, then you'll also understand that in this difficult building, an old building, the only way to put the toilet for disabled was at the end of the corridor, where he's telling every single person, excuse me, I'm going to be, excuse me. No, now, in some places but when you make a new build, there's no question of that.
That's right.
You know.
Yeah. But it's in the building regs now, isn't it? They've got to.
Well, they have, but what tends to happen a lot of the times is that they take the eye off the ball when they put the final fittings in. They'll make the room in the right place and the right size, and then when they come to put the fittings in, the classic that I come across is putting the dryer on the opposite wall of the sink. So that they're not thinking through the fact that if you're in a wheelchair, you're washing your hands
one side
in front of you, and then you've got to turn around with your wet hands on the rims to go to where the dryer is on the other wall.
But they could be immediately next to each other, couldn't they?
Well, if
it's all plastic cover.
Sort of say, I can't mix electricity and water.
No. Excuse me. The dryer is not inside the wash basin. It's a foot away. So what's the risk?
Well, that's it. Yes, but
But the toilets in where we are, not the disabled, but you've got the sinks here and the dryers there. So if they can do it in our toilets, they can surely do it. In the
How
disabled
much
one.
is that? Is it RSD or what? That circuit breaker thing to prevent.
Yeah.
How much does a thing cost if it was inbuilt into the dryer? So if water came, the fuse it didn't fuse. Just
There's one inbuilt in the B one.
there's a cutout
Yeah.
thing. So what are you worried about? I mean, it's so quick that you don't get
they're just
killed.
not thinking through and this is a down to I've been looking at what I'm going to work on this year and doing my talks. I've been talking in over 10 years now about trying to encourage more accessibility, getting the disability legislation to make more sense. Well, we're coming up to a general election, a perfect time for people with disabilities and the charities involved with disabilities to speak out and say, look, we now demand some changes to the legislation such that not a murmur, and I just don't know why. And to me, it's got to now come to education and attitude. I think that's where I'm looking to try and get people to have a different attitude to disability and the needs of people with access requirements, mobility aids.
It's a moot point, because wasn't there something in the news recently about a bus company that refused? There was a problem with a disabled passenger.
Well, this is the case that the guy lost his appeal. In fact, the bus company appealed against him.
So this now, the point I was trying to make was, because of that, you've now got this judicial review that is almost saying that disabled people don't have equal rights.
Well, that's right. I mean, there's a space on the bus where, I commented on this at the time. There's a space on the bus that says wheelchairs on this side, 2 buggies on the other side, if they can get in, or 1 buggy. And it says wheelchair, some of the buses say if you've got a buggy, you need to collapse it down if somebody wants a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Now, if it says there's 1 wheelchair space and somebody's in that space who shouldn't be in that space because they've got a buggy, they've got to get off. To me, that's a simple thing. But this judicial review, which is what you're talking about, I guess, is said, no, they don't. It's the legislation doesn't say that you've got to make the bus.
So it's not reserved for wheelchair. If it's empty, it's preferably for a wheelchair.
Yeah, but if somebody's in it, the bus companies aren't obliged, and this is what the claim was against the bus company. They said
it's a rare time. I mean,
it is rare.
If I sat in that chair, I know that if a disabled person comes up, jolly well get up.
Yeah.
But the thing that
I'm using somebody else's space.
You're saying that it's rare. What we were talking about half an hour ago is that there becomes a bigger burden, on like the health service, because more and more people are needing to use the facilities. And the same will happen on things like access to buses. If more and more people start to need wheelchairs and things as they get older, there'll be a bigger demand.
Yes.
So the problem will not go away.
I think the disappointing part about the whole of that bus thing was the woman herself, whose child was asleep in the buggy, and she wasn't prepared to pick the child out of the buggy, to move the buggy so the disabled passenger could get on the bus. So he was then effectively told to get off the bus, or couldn't get on the bus, and had to wait for another bus, and because she wasn't prepared.
This woman,
and this is where I think the education is needed, because you've got to get people to say, it could be you, it could be your relative.
Wake the bloody kid, man.
Yeah.
What if His Majesty's sleep is disturbed? So what? You're in a public place. This is not your home. It's not your nursery.
Should be. Come on. If it was you in that position of that wheelchair, what would you feel like? And you've got to get that across to everybody.
But if I was, my wife or I was sitting in there with a child, I would say sorry to you, saying sorry, we have been occupying, and you say no, it's all right, and you'll say I'm only going one stop. Then that's a good relationship between the two, isn't it? So when you come off, you'll feel good, I feel good. What's the point of this aggro?
Well, don't you think a lot of people are very selfish now these days? They don't
Why is that? Where does that come from? Fear. I think it comes from fear.
It's like, but then you get the total extreme where you get Lady Diana dies, or some footballers die in an air crash, and you get masses and masses of people from all over the country. And
I think that's fake. Why does anyone care about Lady Di? She's not your wife, your sister, your mother, and because she's pretty. And she's a fantasy because she's like a film actress. Yeah. So it's big deal. Yeah. Why are you so bothered about Lady Di? Worry about your next door neighbor, the old bat who's 67 and rude, and 67 is younger than me even, 97. And look after the next door neighbor. You see, people live in a fantasy bubble. By liking Lady Di, they feel like a prince themselves. What's it got to do with you?
But we had a coffee raising morning last year, Doc, and we invited one of our neighbours who's elderly, disabled through elderly. She has a scooter.
All right.
And, it was one of those things that lasted all morning. So people coming, people going. And Jean came and she called into the drive. And somebody said, "Oh, Angus, there's been an incident outside." So we went outside and she'd got off the scooter. Somehow she hadn't turned it off properly. It was moved and knocked her over. And she fell down.
I see. The scooter itself pushed her. Oh, my God.
Fell down and she was just totally
shocked.
Anyway, we picked her up, got her sorted out. We were worried about, because she was complaining of pain, and anyway, we got her wrapped up, called an ambulance, and that's another story. It took 4 hours to turn up.
Yeah, of course.
And then she said, so we kept her wrapped and warm, even though it was outside. People were coming, we wanted to offer, there was nurses there, so she was being looked after while we were waiting for the ambulance. Then she says, "I need the toilet." Oh. And so we thought, what do we do? Hang on, Jessie next door's got a commode. We went down there, got Jessie's commode, took it into the garage. We lifted her in, dignity, and she was able to. How many other people would do that for their neighbours?
But there was a point of being a human.
Okay, the ambulance was on its way, but it took 4 hours. She needed to be looked after for at least 4 hours. And I tell you, if it happened in the street, people would step over.
Yeah, that is extremely sad. That means they're stepping over humanity. I mean, when I was a schoolboy in India, somebody filmed a real dead body on the streets of Calcutta. Some urchin had died, street urchin.
Yeah.
And people just walking away. It's so pathetic to watch that. I mean, that famous rape that happened in India. There were passers-by who saw a man crying for help for his girlfriend who was naked and raped and very, very, very badly done. And when that happens, then what's the point of being human? And equally...
So a lot of those same people would be the ones blubbering and sending flowers to the
Lady Di, who they haven't a clue who she is. Yeah, but it looks good on the book,
Yeah.
It's like a picture postcard.
It's the thing to do.
Yeah. So in real life, it's a bit like North Korea. We haven't mentioned North Korea yet, North Korea, if you didn't cry, you'd get jailed and things.
Yeah.
Don't you remember when Mr. Kim Il-sung or something?
Yeah.
When he died and his son was assuming power, if you didn't cry enough, you'd be jailed or something.
I think, isn't he a complete nutter?
Well, there was this Sony thing happened. What's your belief? Do you think Sony did it, or do you think North Korea?
I really don't know. I mean, didn't they make a fictitious film about him being assassinated or something?
Making a joke of him. Of course you should make a joke. If I was a politician, I'd love to be lampooned. It gives me higher ratings.
Well, all do. I mean, all of our politicians, the American president, French president, they're all the cartoons in the papers make fun of them.
But that gives them
image. I mean, that used to be a
spitting image.
Makes them human, the fact they can be that way, but it doesn't.
Well, in India, you got also a spitting image that happened about 10 years ago, and it was very funny. Now there's a cartoon running on the Prime Minister all the time.
Yeah.
He doesn't mind. He's happy that people are noticing me.
Yeah.
I'm big enough to be lampooned.
Yeah.
I'm big enough for people to mind what I say.
He'd probably be worried if he wasn't.
Yes, exactly. I mean, in democracy, if somebody's not saying no, there's something wrong there. If everybody is in agreement all the time, so either it's a political party that you bloody well shut up and agree, or it's a religious party where you bloody well shut up and agree, or it's some sort of a party line. So I talked to my councillor friends. I said, "Do you agree with every policy of your party?" They said, "No." I said, "What do you do? Keep shut?" I said, "Covered."
Well, that was why I didn't. I was asked a while ago whether, because there was an article that the BBC were doing a feature on disabled people getting into politics,
right?
And I think they interviewed me and I said, well, the biggest problem was that I couldn't go in and represent my beliefs, because the only way I would get elected is if I represented Labour, Conservative, or whatever, one of the main parties.
Well, you fitted
in.
I
would be dictated to by the whip.
Because you sold your soul to them.
I might have done, yes. Yeah, I could be voting against what I don't believe in, unless I go independent. And if I go independent, I'm not going to get enough votes to get elected.
Very few independents. But that's why some of the best politicians who I admire are the ones that don't do that. They're like the Tony Benns of the world. I mean, a lot of things Tony Benn used to say and believe in, I didn't disagree with, but he was a principled politician and would often vote against or champion policies that were not Labour Party policies, because he would champion these constituents, the people who voted for him. He said, I represent these people first.
Yes.
And I have to represent these people first. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the same as the party line.
No, but
I admire that.
once you become a prime minister or someone we don't have chief ministers in this part of the world, then you represent everyone. You can't say you voted for me, so I'll be nice to you. He didn't vote for me. I'll show the little bastard. You can't. I mean, that's wrong, isn't it?
That's why when the Labour Party, especially around here in the papers, are talking about we're abandoning our roots. We don't represent the working class anymore. But if you're in power, you represent the country.
Yes, you don't represent that
and
segment.
Your policies aren't to be prejudiced against any particular group.
No.
They should be
And that's very tribal. If somebody says that.
But this is where the logical structure of the country doesn't work. We've traditionally had the shape of the all right. Hello. The shape of the country, and look, UK in general, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, England, we're all different, and you can understand Scotland wanting independence because they see themselves as a different
tribe.
Lots of different, tribe, I suppose. But then you say, well, where's the logical split? It isn't the border just below Berwick or above Berwick. It's all over the place, and in fact what you got within Scotland was you had some certain areas across the middle that wanted independence, Glasgow, and you had other bits that wanted to stay traditional.
But again,
you see, when you divide up it causes depreciation or reduction of the joint strength. I mean,
of what you believe, because you're all Scotland to start with, until you start finding, well, I'm now not Scottish because we didn't want to break away.
Well, you can be Scottish, but you still have an association for hundreds of years. I mean, we were taught when we were 4 years old in the school, the unity is strength. So what they do is they take a little twig and they break it. Then they put 10 together and you can't break them. Well, so unity is strength.
He has 2 twigs. He's from Pakistan, I'm from India. Now, what did we get by the partition? Absolutely nothing. We gained a lot of pain. Then Bangladesh. Then the Sikhs are talking about Khalistan. Then Telangana in Andhra Pradesh.
True. And it carries on because human beings are like that. Unfortunately, they were discussing.
And the opposite with East Germany, West Germany combining.
Oh yes, yeah.
Isn't that so wonderful?
Yeah.
Imagine if North Shields and South Shields were in different countries.
I was there in Berlin in 1970, and so I went to Checkpoint Charlie and all these various spots, Brandenburg Gate, but there was the barbed wire was higher than the building itself, but. And saw the bullet holes in the walls, and in 1989 they broke the wall, which is fantastic. But you're building more walls in different parts of the world now
in Israel,
to divide and separate.
Israel has 50 times more wall per head of population than Germany did.
Sure,
because the German population is 10 times more than Israel, but the walls is 4.5 times longer. So per capita, walls just breaks. I mean, the Great Wall of China, but that's old. Roman Wall, that's old.
True.
But in Israel, they're still building walls. We were doing a show the other day and we said, let's cut the barbed wires in Wagah border. The Wagah border is where India and Pakistan meet. And there's all ceremonies, and if there's a Hindu festival, the soldiers from the Indian side will offer sweets to the Pakistani side, and they'll have sweets ready to offer this side.
You see, culturally, the two people, even though they're the same, culturally they're very much the same. The various things that we do culturally together are still the same. Marriages take place. If you see a Pakistani Muslim wedding, it has the similar things like the Indian wedding, and there's hardly any difference, and live together for centuries. But sadly,
we start seeing differences.
Then you start seeing the difference
with a magnifying glass,
and that's the microcosm of it. That causes the problem. You see, and of course, going back to the present situation, I was in the US when 9/11 occurred. And
being a Muslim, he wouldn't get a job.
We had the message called "United We Stand, Divided We Fall." We had the thing stuck on, stickers on every vehicle, mine as well. And of course, that's the message for the whole world. Well, United we stand, divided we fall.
What you haven't noticed is we have burnt a candle. You might have heard for the people in Paris.
Of course, and I've been listening to that all along. And it's sad that violence has to take over, because violence has no place on this earth, And the only question I'm going to ask you, gentlemen, is how far do we take the concept of freedom of speech and civil liberties? Freedom of speech in this question, where they're saying that, the cartoonist.
Okay, so Steve, what do you think? How far should we take the matter of civil liberties? To what extent? How free is free? or should it be free? How free should
Well,
it?
it should be.
Is there any
free,
boundaries?
But I think the problem is that we don't understand other areas of the world, and there's a mistrust. I mean, you take North Korea that we've just been talking about. And the only experience I've had is the Soviet Union in the old days of communism. That I met some people around about early 1990s
Right.
who were from the Iron Curtain. It was the time when Gorbachev was in his 500-day plan,
Right,
and
right.
I was involved a little bit with some work then, and people were coming, representatives that had come from Russia to the UK and were involved in this conference. They said, we didn't understand it was like this. We were kept away from understanding what
so that
goes
creates
on
that
in the West.
difference.
And I think that's what's going on in North Korea, is that they're isolated.
They're being kept away from the rest of the world.
And Steve, do you remember? I was here in 1966, so late 60s. The left, the Labour Party was in the left.
Oh, yes.
And there was a chap who was airlifted from Wormwood Scrubs and escaped to Russia because he was a hardcore communist. I forget his full name. I think it's George someone. And that was, I think, the year was 1967 or 68, you know. And you know, when I went to the United States in 1973, there were leaflets handed to me saying, are you a member of the Communist Party? Have you had this kind of literature? About 7 or 8 questions. So in 1996,
now we asked at the airport, have you done the packing yourself? Nah, man, the missus does it like, you know, there's all that. What's your view, Angus, of how free should free be?
I think journalists and politicians and people should be free to express either through letters to the papers, through articles in the newspapers, YouTube, Twitter, whatever. You shouldn't be censored. Now, the issue of the attack in Paris was all about cartoons and jokes which were offensive.
Lampooning. The word
lampooning.
Lampooning.
But lampooning is different from a bit funny. Lampooning is targeting someone just to hurt them.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, you finish what you're saying.
But the word was actually used.
The lampooning. It's when you tell a joke that there's funny jokes and there's those that are on the border between insulting people. And I think if you know, there are people in different cultures who aren't going to.
It'll cause a massive hurt.
You know it's going to cause offence, and if you know that that's going to cause offence, then you are inciting.
Okay.
But
hatred,
having said that, you shouldn't shoot them. What you should do is, for example, if you're in an audience and a comedian tells a joke that is insulting, you don't laugh, you walk out. Because that's the biggest pain for any comedian is
that you don't laugh.
Well, that's what you
jokes.
said earlier on. If you don't like living in Paris, clear off from Paris to somewhere else. So you might feel more.
But like the doc mentioned, you know, we've got all of it inside us. It's like a cancerous thing. That all of a sudden the violence breaks out, but it shouldn't be there, and it's not allowed in a civilized society, and definitely not as far as I'm concerned.
And that's why we lit a candle. I mean, that's the best we can do. I mean,
and this was being debated in Paris today, this afternoon, when I was sitting there at home, and they were talking about these guys not totally into a religious background, because there's some 7.5 to 8% of the North African population, Algerians, Tunisians, in France.
Yes.
And there has been a continuous issue there for some time. I don't know the details of it, but that's a different scenario.
Yeah.
Because
isn't that also a matter of not assimilating into the culture you come in? If you're so alien, if everything in Paris irritates you, if everything upsets you, if you dress different, walk different, talk different all the time. I'll use an easier example.
But I'll take you back to the 50s when there was a woman called Jamila who was tortured in Algeria by the French authorities. And at that time, I was a child, I was a boy of 6, 7, whatever. And this was an issue which was being circulated in the media around the world. And I happened to be in part of Pakistan where, the publications were easily obtainable. So it goes back to the time when the French were in total control of those countries as colonies. And of course,
when you're in total power, you misbehave.
And I'm going to say something else. Until the Brits arrived in East Africa, there were other colonial powers, to mention a few of the names, Germans, and they treated the locals horrendously. And when the Brits arrived, Livingstone, I think, was one name, and they transformed the entire thing because they were more diplomatic, more sensible, more humane.
Well, generally, of all the armies, the British army doesn't go around raping.
No.
That is well established. But I was going to use a simpler example. It doesn't involve Muslims or Hindus or anything like that. You know, the course that we run upstairs on employment.
Yeah.
And there's this Polish fellow with very bad English. Very, very, very bad English. As if he's worked in a Polish bakery and never sees an Englishman ever.
Correct.
So bad. I mean, so he said, in my country. I said, stop. This is your country. That country is not your country. You are here now. I lampooned him. I teased him because we were 1-1. And I said, from now on, Britain is your country or don't be here. Because you haven't had a job for 12 years. You lived off benefits. It's easy to target a brown person. He's a white guy and he's not a, plumber. Otherwise, he would have made loads of money. So he says, yeah, I want to work in the service industry. I said, I can't even understand your damn English. How can you work in the service industry? How long have you been here? He says, 12 years. Yeah. I said, what? 12 years, you haven't found a woman. You haven't found a job. What the hell, And so...
When I go on holiday...
So I challenged him and I hope it helps him do the needful. There's 2 minutes left.
When I go on holiday, even on a holiday to France or Italy or Spain, I take a phrase book and I try and speak the local language.
Yes.
Even if it's just to order something in a restaurant.
Yes. Yeah. Because you want to assimilate. You keep your culture at home, but in the marketplace, you're not. And communicate. Yes. So...
Yeah, because you don't want to be believing it's your right to be having the place running like your country is. You go to Benidorm and you say,
I want fish and chips.
Here, I want fish and chips.
But they do. But most English people go, I'm not talking about the high-end people like you. They'll go to Benidorm and look for fish and chips. Yes. They'll look for Newcastle Brew Ale. What the hell did you come to Benidorm for? If you want to be a Geordie, true. Just stay here and watch some football.
Well, true, my niece has just got a job with Emirates Airline and she's going to be working in Dubai.
So they're learning Arabic.
She's been told she's got a course to learn what to wear, how to behave, because that's how people...
no, but the opposite is also true. If you come to UK, learn English, learn driving, learn a little bit of football. I still haven't a clue what football is about, but never mind. But it's a two-way process, give something but take something as well. If you're that precious about your culture, religion or country of origin, what are you doing here? Yeah. With that profound statement, I go into all faiths prayer in a minute. And Charan has come here. Hello Charan, Happy New Year. So I've got this, that's the cathedral, isn't it? Salisbury Cathedral. Namaste, Namaste, Adab, Sat Sri Akal. Of it, then you can't be kidnapped. I mean, suppose you had a very horrible kid as a son and somebody kidnapped him and they asked for money. They said, don't keep him.
I'll pay you the money just to keep him.
Just to keep, yes. I'll give you all the child money.
Even more if you keep him rather than wanting $1 million.
That's right. So sometimes the opposite solution is so powerful that you can't do anything. Yeah. Last night I was at the Speakers Club. And they were quite miffed that you had stolen one of the new girls who's gone and joined your club rather. No. Yes, she has joined. You should know. Because she rang and apparently told the president, thank you very much. We have now joined Toastmasters. But thank you for the evening. So they were absolutely in love with you yesterday at the Speakers Club.
I don't know who that was.
A female.
Well, it was a female.
The pretty one. I'm only joking.
All
are pretty.
We're all pretty.
Okay. So what we did was I was the general evaluator, and I put my iPhone 6 right at the back of the room, and I just filmed it and I just gave it as it is. I've said things like, "You're such a wonderful speaker. What happened to you today? You were dull." And nobody talks like that, because it's all very gentle. Yeah. The first fellow was so good. He is about, say, 60, tall, big guy. You think he's quite a gentleman. And yet he spoke about, he said, after I've had my divorce and my illness and my financial loss, I've become a free spirit. And Englishmen don't talk that language, He said, I've finished with all the bunkum of religion. So he didn't talk religion, but he debunked it completely. And the fellow who was assessing him said, it was a nice speech. I don't agree with everything he said. And as a general evaluator, I said, you don't have to agree or disagree. The topic is not important.
Evaluator is
and
speech, not the point.
And I said, I as a Hindu totally agree with him, because he's talking about the human soul and transmigration. That is what the Hindus believe. So in a joke, you can say so many things. Humor is very powerful. Don't you agree?
Yes.
What is the role of humor?
happiness. Because I think if it makes you feel good, if you can put a smile on your face, which often humour does, even if you don't laugh out loud,
it tickles you inside.
It tickles. You get a smile on your face. You might even have an internal smile. It doesn't always show externally, but anything that makes you happy gives you a better feeling. Because if you're feeling down and you're all miserable, and it puts negative vibes out. I think you can almost feel it.
It's natural, isn't it? I mean, it's natural emotions. You've got happiness, laughter, anger, pain, distress.
Yes.
They're all natural, and different things trigger them. And so it doesn't matter where you come from, what part of the country, what your background, what your culture is. If you see somebody slip on a banana skin, you will laugh. Right? You will laugh at
See,
that.
you're smiling even now.
Yeah. And I think, Doc, you probably know this more than I do. I think laughter triggers endorphins, which are
That's right.
the natural feel-good factor
Yes.
in the body.
Yes.
You know?
So you can think positive or peaceful. I more believe in peaceful than positive. Yeah. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be happy is a bit of a rah-rah thing and very American. But if you're at peace with yourself and then with others, the most important person you need to get to know is yourself.
Well, I think it's whatever it is that makes you happy. Sometimes it's comedy and a laugh, or you might want to watch a television program or read a book or whatever it is. That is the thing that helps you relax, helps you feel good, and whatever that is.
So what makes you laugh? Is it Laurel and Hardy or Paul Merton?
Absolutely, Laurel and Hardy.
Well,
just raucous laughter, just silly, stupid laughter.
Yeah, I love Laurel and Hardy.
Yes.
I think
you don't have to understand anything. You just have to laugh.
It's a bit like the religion thing, how different things make different people laugh.
Yes.
Over Christmas, what some of the best programs on.
What Christmas makes you laugh?
No, well, some of the best programs on were repeats of Morecambe and Wise going back.
Yeah.
They were things that we used to. And I was coming through at that age. I was a young lad in the 70s, and I think they've been told to do that.
But the problem, I'm not knowledgeable enough or partisan enough to say this is wrong, is funded by Saudis or Jewish people or this or that. There's all that going on. But the end product is wrong. Simply end of story. There's no ifs and buts. I mean, if I start looking at psychopaths, do you know about 1 in 4 human males have a psychopathic gene in them, passed on only by their mother? But how many psychopaths are there? Because what I'm implying is, and there's a TED talk on this, TED talk, which you're very, very interested in, that basically it says the tendency is there in all of us. I'm a potential murderer, pedophile, rapist, everything is in me. But I've not grown in an atmosphere where those parts are enhanced.
Yeah.
Never mind these kind of tendencies. Genes switch are on and off. Because of my health interests, I've switched off all my genes of illness. My mother is on about 10, 12 tablets. My father wasn't that bad, but both had blood pressure. My mother has sugar a little bit. My grandfather on both sides have sugar. My one grandmother has sugar, but then that grandmother was fat and so on. So I have a pretty high history of these things. But I keep my weight low. I keep happy. I sleep well. And I don't want diabetes. My sugar did go up enough for the GP to do a repeat test. And that was enough to frighten the bejeebies out of me. I don't want to be anywhere near doctors. I've got one myself. It's like a policeman being a thief. He has more understanding, greater responsibility. So I think if you stay happy, this event has upset me, but I'm not going to moan about it all day. I've got nice things to do, like chat with you two guys. So let's change the mood then.
Right. Okay. That's the point, isn't it, Doc?
Go on, carry on. I'm not stopping anyone. Carry on.
People who are depressed or down, ill, they always tend to focus on the bad. And I always say when my father's feeling down and telling me that he's useless because he can't walk anymore, I'll say, come on, Dad, you're 82. You've only just started to have difficulty walking.
Yes.
I said, I know someone who hasn't walked for most of his life, and he's still happy. He looks for the positive, and he does things, just does them in a different way.
Well, life is what you make it. The guy next to us, he's the most famous wheelchair person in the world.
Wheelchair Steve.
Yeah, wheelchair Steve. So why are we looking elsewhere? Just in the studio. And you deal with the cards, you play the cards you're dealt with.
The cards you're dealt
with. Exactly.
That's in the crop up every time. I'm celebrating the anniversary of the heart attack I had last year. I've got through it.
What date was it?
It's 5th of January last year. So
okay, happy birthday to you. We got one candle burning for you.
But it was it was strange when you think back to that was it over, you know, and then but I, you know, I'm indebted to the. I was in Australia at the time, and the doctors. Fortunately, I was in hospital when I had the attack, so they were there in seconds, and they gave me CPR and all sorts of stuff. And
well, I got a friend who went, I think, 10 years ago. I've forgotten the whole exact story. And his wife took him to the casualty because he was complaining bitterly of dyspepsia.
Mm-hmm.
And she left the room, and she heard a croaky sound or something. She went, this is in the casualty itself.
Mm-hmm.
The guy was dead for 12 minutes. He had a heart attack in the casualty.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that man doesn't believe in God, who does?
Mm-hmm.
If he had it in the car park, he would have died. Or worse than died, he would have been mentally gone because his brain would be damaged.
Yes.
I mean, death is fine.
Yeah.
But that kind of life in a wheelchair, and you ruin your family's life, your children, you know, from someone who hasn't had it from birth. I mean, how was it for you? We'll ask that later. What I want to say is, in the background, I'll play some faith prayers. No, this is the wrong one. No, it's the wrong CD. I expected to be playing. This is the sad Palestinian music. Oh, this is too sad. I don't want it. I'll find something happier and noisier. Because we have to live. We don't need to survive. I don't ever want to survive on the planet.
Yes.
You know, I've had a 5-bedroom house, massive thing, this many millions, bankrupted, gone. I had big, beautiful chandelier type lamps, gone. It's now 10-point IKEA LED. Use this. I'm suggesting this technique to everyone, you know, when they stop you and they say, and what's your Christian name? I said, I'm not a Christian and I'm deeply offended. Like hell, I'm offended, you know. I don't care what you think of me. But when I say that, the policemen get very worried in case they've made a faux pas.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, you can see
constant.
what its first name. Isn't it?
People get paranoid with that sort of thing nowadays, don't they?
But it is to do
PC
well.
and all that.
You know, if someone from abroad like me learns the technique and realizes the underbelly of the Brits is not being racist, then anything you bring to the table on the guise of racism, on the excuse of racism, and they're scared. You got them. So, you know, people, I enjoy being teased and enjoy teasing,
I
not
think
in an
that's the same
offensive.
with disability. I think you can, you know,
You can take it too
sort of play the
seriously.
disabled card at any
Yes.
time and say, well, you know, I don't give a toss whether people call me whatever they call me. You know? But
So when you're not defended, you can't be offended.
no, that's right.
You know, if you're always worried about the thin skin, the ego skin that you carry,
Yeah.
I mean, you can say anything, it doesn't bother me. It just doesn't bother me.
But it's down to, and it doesn't, whether it's race or colour or
Gender,
disability or gender,
sexuality.
or whatever. You make assumptions straight away.
Yeah,
About saying, oh, if I say this, I'm going to upset that person.
No, but if you say it with that intention, you will upset that
yes,
person.
because you're
Yeah.
thinking that way.
Yes. I think you attract illness, you know. I really believe you attract illness by talking illness, walking illness, thinking illness, sharing illness. I mean, I said on another show, we were doing something about something else. And I said, you know, if you want health, do not go into a hospital. I mean, there should be a health warning on every hospital. Come in if you're ill.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll make you ill. That's what we're here for.
That's why I don't like going to hospital.
No, I don't. Why should we? I mean, why should
Full
we?
of ill people.
Well, it's
You're
for,
gonna get,
it's
you
for
know,
really
you're
ill people.
You're likely to
Well,
get infections, MRSA or whatever, various things.
true, and C. difficile and
Yes,
C. this
all
and
those
C.
things. The first thing you check when you go in is whether you're taking some illness in that somebody's going to get. That's when you get your swabs done of your throat and your pancreas or whatever it's called. Well, not the pancreas. What's the bit between your?
Did you have bum?
You've got to tickle it with a little stick to see whether you've got.
That's for women, man.
Stop taking.
Anyway, you know, like Big Brother, I think it's a bit much. I don't understand that over intimate sexuality and all that. I can't stand it. But I'd love to be admitted to a psychiatric ward for 2 weeks and see if I go nuts or not. Because you would, you know.
I think you would.
If you're sitting with them all the time, listening to that claptrap, you start believing the claptrap. I don't know how psychiatrists don't go nuts.
Well, I think you cannot stand out and be yourself if you're amongst people who, and I guess the same applies, and just, you know, if you, with a foreign language, forget about that. If I was in a, you know, I've listened to the show something when you've been speaking in, I don't know what you're speaking because
मैं हिंदी में बोलता हूँ तो आपको समझ में नहीं आती है मैं जान करके हिंदी में बोल रहा हूँ आपको समझ में नहीं आया no it's Hindi that's all
it depends who's on, I guess, but if it's Hindi and I listen to the show and I think I haven't got a bloody clue what he's saying, and this is a guy that I can normally communicate.
Well, talking to Geordies when I joined it, I didn't have a clue what they were saying. Like,
put this odd word of English, they haven't got their own words for some of the stuff.
No.
I think that's
The words are more powerful if in English you call me a bastard, it doesn't hurt me that much.
Right.
But if you call me harami, because that is a word with deeper you know what I'm saying? A foreign language still remains a little foreign, but when you really want to hurt, speak the native tongue and say something abusive. That really sears through you, cuts through you. So I totally take on what Deepak Chopra says. He says the least defended man is the most powerful. Means if I have nothing to hide, what can you do to me? You can blackmail me if I had a wife and I was having an affair. But if my wife doesn't care and I doesn't care, then you can't do anything to me. I mean, you couldn't get to Bill Clinton by saying, I'll tell 10 on your wife after this stuff came out. You could have before it happened. That girl, Lewinsky, because she had something to hide and she'd kept all the clothes with all the DNA remnants and so on. I mean, this is a family show. So before it came out in the papers, she could, but now she can only sell a book. I believe she's written a book. So, you know, all this kiss and tell business. If the other person is not frightened once, but what's the bloody difference? Still gives out light,
Yes.
you know, whether it's my watch, which is only, I don't wear a watch anyway, thank God for that, I've got an iPhone instead. I try to make technology all in one place instead of a watch for this, a pen for that. It's all in one piece. So if I had a watch, it would be a garage £1.50, £2 watch. What's the point of this 7,000? So people work so hard or cheat or lie or use their brains at least. So you're either cheating or you're lying or you're hypocritical or you're selling things nobody wants, but you're making money. I mean, you can make money honestly as well. I haven't found it yet, you know.
Yes.
Probably, I mean, big money. I'm not talking about living like you and me. I'm talking about real big money. On that score, can I apologize to people who live in Dar es Salaam, to each one of them? I went to a shop. I can't even say which shop, otherwise people guess who it is. And the husband says, my wife wishes to talk to you. I said, always welcome. She comes in with a cup of tea and says, what have you got against people with long drives in Dar es Salaam? So I said, why are you asking this question? She says, I thought you were talking about me. And in Hindi, there's a phrase, chor ke daadhi mein tinka. You know, if say one of you had a long beard, right? God forbid, but one of you had a long beard. And I said, now who's pinched the stuff? The fellow with the beard will start itching in his beard, as if there's a little twig tickling his beard. So Hindi's phrase is chor ke daadhi mein tinka. In the beard of the thief is a little twig. So I said, you don't even have a beard, you're a woman. And she started laughing. So I profusely and officially apologize to all the people in Dar es Salaam with long drives. Can you make your drives a bit shorter, please? It's just a phrase, man. It's just a phrase. When we say Delhi...
You measure your success by the length of your drive, is that how
some people do.
My car overhangs...
Casanova did it differently.
So I'm very well off, because my car overhangs the drive. On the pathway.
So either your car is very big or the drive is very small.
Well, but both.
Well, didn't I mount my car on your pavement on the side, didn't I, when I came to see you?
Yes, you did, yes. On the grass,
on the grass,
at the side, yes.
So basically, it's a caricature, man. When I say Delhi belly, I mean, it means diarrhea. You could have Calcutta belly, which is a dirtier place than Delhi. You could have
Westgate
Mumbai
Road
belly. Westgate
Road.
Road belly, which doesn't... Phenom belly.
Phenom belly.
Okay. No,
Biker belly.
Biker belly. Biker belly fits
Biker belly's
nicer.
good, isn't it?
But biker belly means a big fat fellow with a beer belly. You know, it's different. It's
So
belly.
now you're categorising biker people as fat.
Oh, the Raby
You
pub.
upset the people in biker now.
Well, the people...
There's a lot of listeners in biker from what I gather.
But see, that's the point, Steve. We are allowed to be offensive. That's what the French were defending yesterday when they had the...
but why are people so sensitive? I'm not talking about religion now. It's the topic has changed. So anyone thinking I'll say something against religion and waiting to get me, please forget it. If you were sensitive about your wheelchair...
Yeah. Well, this is one of the things we've talked about in the past, is about establishing rapport. And you can establish rapport amongst the community that you know, we're all Geordies. Well, we've got passion for in and I'm, you know, you're not a Geordie doc, but you are a Geordie. You're a doc.
Yeah, I'm a Bruin Geordie man. Very Bruin.
But you fit into the community. You understand the humour of the community.
I enjoy the community.
Yes.
I am as
I
much
think we get to that point, and then because you've got rapport with the rest of the community, we can all speak together and say things that you maybe wouldn't be able to say to somebody coming from the Midlands or London or whatever, you know, different places. Maybe you can, I don't know. I mean,
I was walking on West Avenue and there was this mother asking the child to get up, and he or she wouldn't. Lovely lemon green spacesuit the guy had. It happened to be a guy. And I said, is he giving you trouble? She says, yes, he won't get up. Now, what have I got to do with that woman and her 2-year-old baby? So I said, come on, Timothy. I found the name. You want to sit in my car? He says. And suddenly there's a rapport.
Mm-hmm.
And he just got up. His mother had been trying to ask him to stand. He wouldn't, like a mule. I won't. But because I was perhaps...
So you're Jesus. You made the guy walk.
Jesus.
Get out of that wheelchair and walk.
Don't offend my Christian sentiments.
Right,
I'm a deeply Christian.
We've gone back to religion again.
Well, the policemen, when they stopped me, I Namaste, Adab, Sat Sri Akal. It's Dr. Anand here on a very sad morning. We are very sad in the studio because of what's happening all over the world. Killings, more killings. I thought I'd start with Happy New Year. Well, what's so happy? We finished last year with Sydney. Then we had 140 people and more killed in Palestine. And we'll talk a little bit about that because we had a candle vigil for that. How many candle vigils are we going to have? And essentially what I'm saying is, in the name of religion, people are killing people. And as a side effect, they're giving a very bad name to their own religion that they profess to carry. So though they say this is for the sake of the religion, they are very much destroying the very religion and making it very difficult for other people who happen to be of the same faith, are living peacefully and are very close friends of mine. So today I've got in the studio Steve, Angus. Shall we light a candle for what's happened? A very good afternoon to all of you.
Yeah. Morning, everybody. And like we say, we hope and say a Happy New Year, but it hasn't got off to a great start.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I do think that we should feel it. I mean, we should feel the pain of what's going on. It is amazing that we go. What can we do about such things apart from feel sorrow and outrage and anger? Or are we just going to say, oh, it's too bad? I mean,
I think on top of that, there's fear. Everybody is saying, well, is it going to come here next? You hear all about this, everything on high alert, and you don't know what that means. So you start to live in fear and mistrust of others.
Yes.
Which is it's a minority case, but it stands out.
That's right. Well, the press is there for that purpose, isn't it?
Yeah.
Somebody does something odd, somebody does something heroic, somebody does something peculiar. So only the odd bits stick out. The normal is boring for the press.
Yeah.
Just normal is boring. So they're looking always for things to do, and don't we give them enough of it? So, what happened in Sydney, I don't think much connection. I just remember that Chinese girl running for her life. When some one person, then you tune in and it hits you. I was also watching with massive sorrow what happened in Peshawar, for that school. And I'm sure it's planned, and I'm sure there are insiders involved. Otherwise, it couldn't have happened. My sister used to teach in Air Force school, and because I have a red passport, a British one, though it took me 4 days to get in to her school, which is inside the army military place. So because though I look Indian and though I've got a birth certificate, this and that, they said, no. You got a British passport, you have to get it checked. And then I was doing a talk on stress, that heart rate variability thing. And at the door, they said, you can't bring your laptop in. It's got batteries, it can blow up, it can do this, it can do that.
Most of them do.
So I took a USB stick, and then the fellows relented. He said, oh, just bring it in. By the time they saw what a nice guy I was, it happened. So about this, did you see in the papers, Angus, you were saying something, you saw something in the papers?
Yes. Over the Christmas break, I read the local newspaper, The Journal, and I opened it, flicking it through there. So, whoa, I know that man. That's the doc. And there was a big picture and a big article all about the candlelit vigil that you held here at the Beacon.
Yeah. I mean, what else can we do? So we thought, a chap called Shahid Rafi said to me one Friday, so let's do something. So I said, well, all we can do is a candlelight vigil, and that's
all
it.
We can do. I mean, these killers, in my view, do not represent the religions that they purport to.
They do not represent the human species.
It's a convenient excuse for their evil act.
Yes.
It's the same as football hooligans who say
yes, exactly. What a wonderful comparison.
Yes, nothing to do with the team.
Yeah.
And I would say to those, if I was to say to them, I would say this. I would say, whichever God you represent, be it the Holy God, Allah, Muhammad, whoever it might be, do you think that God would be pleased with you walking into a school of unarmed children and gunning them down. That is not. That is not. That makes me very sad.
But they think it does. This is the problem. And I think they think